Everybody, here is our continuation of the Alaitoc Aeldari Apocalypse Narrative Crusade. Last battle, we had the Aeldari win with 10 victory points to 3 victory points. They did not get their guiding fate, but it did move towards the defender's line. So our next battle is collapsing lines. This is the battlefield setup right here. So we have our center objective control point, a couple kind of diagonal off of that, and then some straight shots to either side of the table, so more of a diagonal kind of setup this time. This is what it looks like in reality. I have some strings here just measuring everything out. Show you guys the characters coming in here as well. So we have the 5 objective control points. The center one is right here with the kind of landing platform that comes with the Nakwan terrain. I'm not going to do it by number, but we have another one here, which is a C-can. This is on the side of our attackers, which in this battle is going to be Khorne. I'll show you guys in just a second what that force is made up of. There's the second objective control token. And then over here, we have another C-can on the defender's side. This is number 5. And over here is number 3. So I've got all my forces lined up. The big thing that happened there with the guiding fate is a battle scar was administered to the Aeldari last game. So the swooping hawk squad has been removed. So they're short maybe 100 points, but there are some allies coming in this time, and that is right here. So Rabute Gilliman is not going to let this genocide continue. He has sent down Marneus Calgar with tons of the First Company veterans, just kitted out in Terminator armor here. So we have 2 full squads of 5 Terminators with Marneus in the middle. We are going to hopefully get some staying power with these guys, lots of wounds. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to show you guys the Aeldari army because you saw them in the last battle quite a bit. So it is pretty much the exact same army minus the swooping hawks from their side. But I will move over to the other side of the table and show you guys our Khornate Berserker armory that's coming in, demons as well as Chaos Space Marines. So we'll start everything off with the first captain of the World Eaters, Khorne Berserkers, Khorne the Betrayer. Behind him are 30 Khorne Berserker models. This is a 3,000, it's actually 2,955 points, so actually a few points short of 3,000, and you get so many Khorne World Eaters, it is insane. So this is Khorne and his 3 full 10-man squads with 2 wounds apiece. There is a Slaughterbound here that is leading 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound. So beside him on either side we have Exalted 8-bound squads here and here, and then in behind them are 3 full squads of 8-bound. 3 times 3, 9. That's a lot of wounds as well. We have a Terminator squad as well coming in. If the 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound weren't enough, there's also Khornate Terminators coming in. We do have some Goremongers, Land Raider coming in, and this is I love to do this with the any kind of Chaos Legionary force. This is a Proteus from 30k, but I'm using it as a Land Raider in 40k. It fits so much better because the tank would be of this era. Same thing over here. We have the Deimos pattern Predator Annihilator, so it's the older version, but it makes sense because they would have these from the Horus Heresy. Angron is also going to be in here, so I think the only model on the other side of the table there probably is the Wraith Knight that can take it out. Maybe the Avatar of Cain. That would be a pretty sick battle. Angron versus him, and then maybe if Marneus gets super lucky with those Terminators. Actually, we can't because the rules I've made, it's character versus character, character versus vehicle, vehicle versus vehicle, and vehicle versus character. If you guys want to check out my very first video in the playlist just with the background to the rules that I've created for this apocalypse narrative, you can definitely do that. And then we do have some demon support as well. So we have 5 Fleshhounds coming in. There's also the Blood Crushers in behind, which are very strong multiple wound models as well. And to round everything out, we have a Bloodthirster of Khorne. So this guy probably stronger than Angron, and if the Wraith Knight goes down as quickly as it did last time, the Avatar of Cain is probably the only thing over there that can maybe handle this. So this is 2,955 points of World Eater, Khorne Berserker, and Khorne Demon models. The Aeldari are going to have their hands full here, and that support from the Ultramarines I really hope is going to be enough. We're going to get going here, though. It's going to be the same thing. It'll be a roll-off to see if it's attackers going first or defenders going first. Unless the rules have changed, I'll have to check that out. And then we'll continue to tally the victory points and kind of how that works for this scenario. But the battlefield has been pushed back, so the attackers are kind of on their heels. The Aeldari are pushing through, and these world leaders have been sent in to stop that advance and repel them back towards the defending lines. So let's get to it. We'll do the roll-off in just a sec and play this one through. I'm also going to try to make this one a little bit shorter. 3.5 hours was pretty crazy. I don't think I'm going to do every single roll. I'll just scan across as I'm still talking here with the Aeldari force. They're not as nicely lined up as my Khorne Berserkers and World Eaters, but show you guys kind of what's coming in here across the table. There's my ropes that were measuring down the lines to make sure that everything was legit for either side and balanced up. Yeah, so I'm going to probably roll the character shoots, vehicle shoots, character saves, hand-to-hand combat, all that stuff. But every single roll for the units like I did last time, it was really good to kind of get that down once so you guys can see the feel of the D3s and D6s with the minor skirmish rule that I've added in. But yeah, way too long for 3.5, so we'll try to shorten this one up a little bit, make it a little bit more crisp. Glad that that one is under the belt, though. That was a really good start to it. I have a better flow of how this is going to work. And yeah, we'll roll off here in just a sec and get this one going. Thanks again for watching, guys. Fitting in 40k, Alaitoc Aeldari Apocalypse Narrative Crusade, using the 10th / I guess 10.5 edition Apocalypse rules, tied in with the Aeldari Narrative Crusade of the Guiding Fate. Alright, let's do it. Just confirmed that since the Aeldari won the last battle, it's a defender's victory. They do get to go first here, which they are definitely going to need. So they have just been set up. We have the Wave Serpent on the far left. I might end up going behind. It might be easier with my camera. In there is the Spirit Seer and the Wraith Guards. Yeah, maybe we'll do it this way. Just I can't jump on top of the table, so we'll do it here. We have the Wind Riders out front and the Wave Serpent hoping to get down and take that center objective to start to pull some points. Against Khorne, though, Khorne is very fast. Tons of wounds. We'll see how this goes. And with those Swooping Hawks gone, that's one unit. It is a unit of 5, but one unit that's, you know, been removed entirely. So moving into the center, we have the Warp Spiders. They can also do that crazy Warp Flicker move and hopefully fly down the battlefield and try to hold some ground. Asserman with his Dire Avengers are in behind the Avatar of Khaine. The Avatar of Khaine I wanted right in the center of the battlefield because he's looking down Angron as well as the Bloodthirster on the other side. Marneus Calgar and his Terminators are on the left from the center. Behind them are Wraithblades and Dark Reapers to hopefully give a pretty good punch and some holding power. Being close to the middle of the board too, it's possible I could try to move them. They're slower models, but try to move them to get into support. And then finishing up the left line here, we have the Wraith Knight. We have the unit of Aeldari Guardian. I will get to them in just a second. And the Viper. So that is the Aeldari and Ultramarine allied lines. I'll just hop over to the other side of the table and explain that Aeldari Guardian squad and how they tie into the Guiding Fate. So here we are on the other side of the Aeldari lines. We have the Otark here with the Aeldari Guardian squad. This is the Guiding Fate Humble Beginnings. So this unit here is the one that I have selected. They must still be alive by the end of the battle to be able to tie in that thread of fate, the Guiding Fate, make sure that it is successful this time. They did not get the Destined Device last time. They lost that objective control point, so the Swooping Hawks were removed. And kind of lore specific to the Aeldari, they're a dying race, so that has been removed because there's no new Aeldari that are being born or can fill the armor of those Swooping Hawks, so they've been killed and not been replenished. They are going to be holding objective control point 5 unless they're needed elsewhere, and with the Otark they're supporting them. He's been told by the Farseer and Spirit Seer that this unit must survive, and the reason for this is one of these Aeldari Guardians might be a future Phoenix Lord, it could be a future government official for the Aeldari, something like that. That's why they must survive. And on the other side of the table we have Khorne, World Eaters. This is a massive force. The Undivided I thought was big. This one looks even bigger. I'll start in from behind because again I can't jump on the table. So we have the Blood Crushers on the left flank of the World Eaters. They are supported by a Predator. The Chaos Terminators here, or Khorne Terminators, they move very, very slow, so I'm actually going to have them hold down objective point 4. So if there's any forces coming in to try to take that from them to get victory points for the end of the battle, they are going to have some pretty tough characters to deal with. The Land Raider here has a full squad of the old school 30k World Eaters. I love that I painted these guys up with the white and blue. I used them in my 30k battles, but there is still a few of the outlying Khornate Berserkers that still wear the white, blue, and gold. And then Khorne the Betrayer, who used to also wear that same armor, is in the Land Raider with them as well. And they're looking to fly down the field and just get into as much trouble as they can while trying to hold objective point 1 from the side of Khorne. In the center, a massive force of Khornate Berserkers. We have 20 models in front of them, the Goremongers and Angron Demon Primarch. Used to be the Primarch of the World Eaters, now in demon form. He can fly, he can chop, he can do a ton of stuff. And then in behind him is the Bloodthirster. So if that wasn't enough, you have Khorne the Betrayer, you have Angron, you have now a Bloodthirster that's going to also be flying down the field. Very, very tall order for the Allied forces. In front of the Bloodthirster, we have some Fleshhounds of Khorne, so 5 of them. They're only hand-to-hand combat, but they do have multiple wounds, so that's going to be a little bit of staying power. I might actually have them stay back as well and hold the number 2 objective control point for Khorne to make sure that that doesn't fall, and no victory points move over to the Nemesis. And then here is, I don't know how the Aeldari are going to take this on. This is 3,000 points as well. So 2955, I said at the start. There are 3 units of 3 8-bound, 2 units of 3 Exalted 8-bound, and their leader a Slaughterbound. They move, I think, 9 inches. So in their first move, they're going to be like here, and then smashing into the Terminators and Wraithguard or Wraithblades. These also have multiple wounds. They are only hand-to-hand combat, so that will be 1+ if we can try to plink away at them and weaken some wounds with the minor skirmishes D3 and D6. These will actually all be D3 because they're 5 models or less. It's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. This is the exact force that I think would be the worst case scenario for an Aeldari army, and we're going to be testing it out because the toughness of these models, the wounds of these models, the attacks of these models. Luckily, the Apocalypse rules might help them out because there's going to be none of the hit roll, wound roll, and save roll. But if this was regular rules and we're playing 3,000 versus 3,000, if the Aeldari are able to hold them back with firepower, maybe a chance. But in regular combat, like if these guys got into hand-to-hand, it would be absolutely lights out. So I'm excited to get this one going, though. The characters are still going to be fighting, so we could have the Avatar of Cain fighting Angron. We could have the Wraith Knight taking on the Bloodthirster of Khorne. Avatar of Cain taking on the Bloodthirster, Marnius Calgar taking on Angron. It's going to be pretty cool. So we'll get into it here in just a sec, and it will be the Aeldari move first, so I'm going to be doing their movement. As per my rules, the Fog of War is in play as well, so this field's been all churned up by vehicles and bombardments and stuff, so it's very hard to see across the field right now. So the forces will have to get within 12 inches of each other to begin to fire, but that also gives about a turn and a half to be able to really strategize and see where I want either force to go. And as always, in Finnegan 40k, I play hard for both sides. So I'm going to be playing just as hard for Khorne as I will be for the Aeldari. And from the side of the Aeldari, since this is their Crusade, I'm hoping they can tie up that Guiding Fate and have that Aeldari Guardian unit down on the far left there survive the battle. And there's going to be a lot of forces maybe throwing themselves into the wood chipper to try to make that happen and have sacrifices made so that that Guiding Fate can be a success this time, so the Aeldari do not lose another unit at battle's end. Okay, enough talk. I've said this 15 times, but let's get to it. And less rolls this time in the tray, and we'll start it up. This one has begun, and the Aeldari have taken the first move as per the rules here for Apocalypse. The defenders... Well, for this one, since they won last time, they get to go first. So everyone moved up their full inch movement, pretty much. My Guardian units are going to stay behind. So I have the Storm Guardians here, going to protect number 3 objective control, and then I have my other Guardians here that are going to protect number 5. I might have the Dark Reapers hold back 2 just in case, because if the Berserkers make it down here, it's going to be a lot of models that are going to be defended by 1 unit. The Wraith Knight, being Titanic, once again is going to be able to fire this turn into the Land Raiders, so the rule Fog of War is in play. But I'm considering for this battle the Land Raider and the Wraith Guard to both be Titanic units. So they're going to be able to fire their full range. So again, we saw what happened to the Wraith Knight last time, but I'm hoping that this time it can maybe punch a hole right through that Land Raider and finish it off. Over here too, I forgot to actually include a Rhino at the start of the battle. So I had originally in the Land Raider over on the other side of the table, Khorne the Betrayer and some of his Khorne Berserkers. I now have the Slaughterbound and some 8-bound in there. So that is going to be moving down the field quite quickly to get into the enemy lines. And then a Rhino, it was built into the points. So we're still at 2955 for the Khornate force here. Just forgot to put the model out. And inside that Rhino is Khorne the Betrayer and the unit of the old school 30k World Eaters, at least that color scheme. And again, that's going to be a fast transport to get them right down there. On the other side of the Aeldari field here, since it is still, their turn, I had the Wind Riders kind of tuck in behind this building. They're going to be able to fly out and give some support fire if needed. Wave Serpents kind of out in the middle here. There's still nothing within 12 inches, but when they are, this thing's going to be quite a target. So I might actually move this thing back and start relaying more troops through it to the front lines. The center token right now, number 1, is actually being held by the Wraith Guard and the Spirit Seer. The Warp Spiders did their normal 7-inch move, but they do have that Warp Flicker ability where they can move 24 or 25 inches. I'm going to see if that's needed later to maybe cause some havoc and just pin some units down in the back. But there are not many Aeldari units to play with here. We lost the Swooping Hawks there as per the Battle Scar from last fight. So this is all they have this time. I have to play it super smart. Leaving enough guys back here on the defense line to be able to kind of protect their home objective control points, so number 3 and number 5, and then also have enough at the front of the field here to hold number 1. I don't think there's any way I'm going to be taking 4 and 2, which are currently in the Khornate zone, but maybe by some chance if that Wraith Knight can get some really lucky rolls here and destroy that Land Raider, turn his Wraith cannon over to Angron next, the Bloodthirster. We'll see what we can do. Again, this time I'm going to try to shorten up the video. It was really good to get that intro video done. It was about 20 minutes long if you guys want to check that out and kind of figure out what's going on with the lore here and the rules I've built. The last battle was super long, 3.5 hours, but it literally showed all the kind of bread and butter of this Apocalypse battle rules that I've created, as well as tying in the Aeldari guiding fates. So yeah, we'll get into the shoot now. I'm not going to be rolling for every single unit this time like last time, but we will get the Wraith Knight in the camera right now, firing that Wraith Cannon down at the Land Raider. And then we'll take it from there. Khorne will also be able to get 1 reaction here, which will likely be a movement. And that might be the Land Raider rolling up, and then it will be over to them for their move. And if we're within 12 inches, then whoever's there can start firing. So over the dice tray, and let's see what this Wraith Knight can do. All right, so for this one, it's going to the dice will get mixed up, but black dice we're going to say is Aeldari this time. A little easier to follow because we know our Khornate Berserkers are all in their bloody reds. So that'll work well. So this is going to be the Wraith Knight firing with the heavy Wraith Cannon. It's a D3 attack, so this is going to tell us how many attacks we're actually going to get from the weapon. Hoping for something high. That's not what we wanted. I really hope the rolls are better than last time, but we'll see. So this is 1 attack. It's hitting on a 3+, so it still has to hit. It did do that for strength 20 against toughness 12. This is going to be 3s to wound. And didn't wound. So the Wraith Knight is not off to a good start. And it's going to be right in range for those las cannon arrays that are on the Land Raider. So we're going to see how that goes. There are still a couple weapons left though. It does have 2 star cannons on its back. So I'm going to use those. Much lower strength, but we'll try. So first one here, 2 attacks, hitting on a 3+. Both are through. This is the same. So 1 fell off. It's not got any extra rolls. This is strength 8 versus toughness 12. It's going to be 5s to wound. And nothing. So the Wraith Knight fizzled out pretty much. That is not good. The reaction here, since we're on the profiles, I'm going to make it super easy, and this makes the most sense too strategically for Khorne. So they had a big, massive, mech Wraith Knight firing at their Land Raider. The Land Raider is now going to fire back. Thing is, this might get some wounds going because it's got some, I don't know, it's pretty good. There's also the twin heavy bolter array, which is twin linked. So let's go with the Soul Shatter Las Cannon here. So this is the first two hitting on a 4+. Okay, one fell off there, and one fell off there. So 50% for hits. So those two have hit because they're above 4. It is strength 12 versus toughness 12. This is going to be force to wound. Oof, double 6s. So both of those did wound. My Wraith Knight, if it comes to that, does have the Shatter Shield, which gives it a 4+ invulnerable save. And I also am allowed to subtract 1 damage from that attack as well with the Shatter Shield. So that's if these go through. So these two are both through. It hit on that 4. It is a -3 to AP. So that is going to bring the Wraith Knight up to that invulnerable save of 4+. And if this is not saved, it's going to be d6 + 1 per attack if they go through. So we're looking for 4s here for the Wraith Knight. Oh my god, this is not a good start at all. That's my strongest model on the board, and it might be going down, or at least severely wounded in the first turn. So a 3 and a 2, not high enough with the invulnerable. This is going to be d6 + 1 now for the damage characteristic of what's coming through here. So I'll roll both of these. They've both gone through, so 2 big blasts of Las Cannon have gone through. So this is a shit. That's 9 damage total, but there's 1 for each. So this is actually a 4, and this is a 7. I'm going to reduce the damage by 1 as per the Shatter Shield or Scatter Shield. I've been calling it a Shatter Shield, I think, Scatter Shield. So this is a 6, this is a 4. That's still 10 wounds given to the Wraith Knight, and it goes down from 18 wounds to 8 wounds, just like that. Not a good start at all. So I'm just over here with my token, knocking it down to 8 wounds. And there are also still the heavy bolters actually from the Land Raider, and seeing how things are going, those might hit as well. So let's see what's going on here. 20 heavy bolters. We've got 3 attacks hitting on a 4+. So 2 fell off. Can't reroll those. I can reroll this though, since it's twin linked. It's only on the wound roll. This is now the wound roll. So strength 5, toughness 12. It's going to need a 6 to wound. I can reroll this because it's twin linked. Ooh, it was almost a 6 there for a second. We got a 2. So nothing happened with the heavy bolters. The Wraith Knight, however, has gone from 18 down to 8 wounds, and this is flipping over to the World Eaters now. So that Land Raider is going to be able to move. It's going to be able to shoot again. There can be a reaction at the end by the Aeldari, and if my Wraith Knight is still alive, I might have to do that because there's not much else on this field. They can take down a Land Raider with full wounds. My Wave Serpent's okay. My Avatar of Cain might be able to, but we don't have any crazy other weapons really. Possibly the Viper Jet Bike too, but we'll have to see. Anyways, over to my World Eaters, and we're going to start moving with them now. I forgot just how quick the Khorne Berserkers are now. I thought putting them in the Land Raider was going to give them a speed boost there, but the Slaughterbound, or the 8-bound, and the Exalted 8-bound all move 10 inches, and that is the speed of the Land Raider. So at least they're protected in a bit of a shell. But everything else moved up 10 inches. So all of the 8-bound are around the Land Raider if I wanted to move them their full inches. So the number 2 token here is being held by the Fleshhounds. The Bloodthirster is also coming out of his sort of summoned circle here. Angron is already up the field, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do about that. I have the Avatar of Cain, maybe. The Wraith Knight has already gotten the shit kicked out of it, and it still has to survive probably another onslaught from that Land Raider and the Las Cannons. Khorne Berserkers moved up as well, a little bit slower, 8 inches, but still faster than the Aeldari. The Aeldari main movement is 7 inches. Those Terminators down the line too. For the Ultramarines move 5. So these Khorne Berserkers and Khornate Demon models are going to be on top of them in no time. The 1+ is a lot of the Demon models only have melee. Such as Angron, the Blood Crushers, the Fleshhounds. The Bloodthirster does actually have a ranged attack, but we're not with in that range, or at least nothing's in cover. Another big problem here, my Wave Serpent is right out in the middle, and it's going to have the Chaos Rhino and the Chaos Predator Annihilator firing on it here in just a second. So we're going to get to the shoots now. It's going to be a lot of vehicles firing on vehicles, it looks like here. And we're going to see if that Land Raider can finish what it started and take down the Wraith Knight. I'm not sure this one is going to go the full 5 rounds. To tell you the truth, I really don't know, just with the speed of these guys. And also that Guiding Fate, this Guardian unit has to survive. The Autarch is the only one there with them with kind of some pretty good hand-to-hand combat prowess against Angron, like lights out. But he could maybe take on Khorne the Betrayer, maybe take on... I don't know. I'm looking around and I don't really see anything that he could take, because if an 8-bound or an Exalted gets into it with him too, I don't think that that's going to end well. Like, it is going to be character on character, so it would be the Slaughterbound versus the Autarch, but the Slaughterbound is an absolute beast as well in hand-to-hand. So we'll get to the tray. I'm just going to be rolling here for the vehicle versus vehicle. I don't think anything else is in range. All the other models are not within that 12-inch range, and if they are melee, the rule is going to be that they have to get into hand-to-hand combat. They can't, leap 12 inches and get into it, or fire some kind of weapon that doesn't exist. So if they're a melee-specific model, like the 8-bound and the Exalted 8-bound, they're going to have to get right up in close and personal and see if they can slaughter these guys with their hand-to-hand combat weapons. But there's still a lot of units here that do have range. So we do have the Khorne Berserkers with range. If I want to move my Terminators, they have range. But yeah, we'll get to the tray. We'll start it going here. I'm going to move from closest to the camera, I think, to furthest, and I'll walk you guys through it when we're over at the tray and see how these Berserkers do during this first turn for them. For 3,000 points, though, you get a hell of a lot of good Khorne models, and there could be more demons built in here too. You could bring in Bloodletters. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that might even keep the points a little bit lower, like move out a couple 8-bound. They're a really good force. One of my favorite 40k Chaos Army. Chaos Space Marine forces for sure. So we're going to start up here. This is the Khorne Chaos Predator Annihilator versus the Wave Serpent. This thing is no slouch either. So it also has a Predator twin las cannon, and then there's also las cannons. No, this one has heavy bolters on the side, but you can sponsor it out with some other stuff. But this one does have more las cannons, so I've definitely souped up my Khorne with a lot of las cannon power. So here we go. This is the Predator Twin Las Cannon hitting on a 4+. It's one shot. It is twin linked though. Got a 6, so that definitely fired. It is strength 14 versus toughness 9. It's going to be 3 to wound. Didn't get the wound, but I can reroll that because it's twin linked. And picked it up that time. So this is a -3 to AP. Would usually bring the Wave Serpent up to a 6+. It does have an invulnerable 5+. So this is going to be a 5+ save. Didn't save it. That is not good. That is a D6 +1 damage, so very similar to its big brother, the Land Raider, with those Soul Shadow Las Cannons. This thing still does that D6 +1. And that is 6 wounds to the Wave Serpent's 13. So that is down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 8 wounds left on the Wave Serpent. There's still the heavy bolters to come in here too. So that's 2 heavy bolters that I have built on the side of this Predator layout. I was guessing when I built it, that's probably for my anti-infantry, and then I have the Predator Twin Las Cannon for any armor. Here we go, hitting on 4+. Oh my god, that's 3 6s. Wow. Okay, so a few fell off, 2 fell off, and I got 3 6s and a 5. So some very good rolls. It is strength 5 versus toughness 9, so this is going to be 5s to wound. It did pick up 1. It's a -1 to AP, so that brings us up to a 4+ for the Wave Serpent. This time it did save it, so no damage has gone through. If that had, it would have been 2 wounds. So the Wave Serpent still has 8. I have to see what's going to happen here if my Wraith Knight is still alive, if it's going to do a reaction against the Land Raider, or I might use my Wave Serpent to try to soften up the Predator Annihilator, because that thing is also a problem. I do also, before I forget, have my Rhino here, so the Combi Bolter on the top, hitting on a 4+. 1 is through. Strength 4, toughness 9 is going to be a 6 to wound. Didn't get it. So that's it for that one. We're going to move over now to the further side of the table. There's no other forces in range there that have ranged attacks. So this is going to be... Oof, I really hope my Wraith Knight can survive here, but the Land Raider versus the Wraith Knight. And I just don't have a good feeling about this. We'll see what happens, but... And I've said it a few times, the Aeldari, very, very strong weapons, pretty good speed, but their staying power and their toughness is lower than a lot of other forces. So if this was a Baneblade tank, or even like a Rogel Dorn battle tank with less wounds, the toughness would probably be the same or higher. Better for taking on things like Land Raiders and las cannons. But the Aeldari, I'm hoping can pull this off. We'll see. They won the first one, but let's see what they do here. So Soul Shadow las cannon. There's 2 of those, so hitting on a 4+. So 2 fell off. That is good. Strength 12, toughness 12, force to wound. Okay, and 1 is through. So 1 attack has gone through. This is going to be saved by the Scatter Shield. I want to make sure I get it right this time. It is the Scatter Shield, so it's a 4+. Oh, man. And that's a 1. So this is going to be d6 plus 1 damage again. So 3, that gets reduced by 1 because of the Scatter Shield. So that is 2 more wounds delivered to the Wraith Knight. I believe he is down to 8 currently, so that's going to be 6. I'm just over at the token. Yep, so down to 6 wounds now. There's still the Heavy Bolter Array 2 that's on the Land Raider, so we're going to get that one going here as well to finish up that turn. So hitting on a 4+. All through. 5 against 12, 6 is to wound. Got 1 wound, -1 to AP. That's going to be a 3+. And he saved it. So that's it for that one, and we'll flip it back over here for a reaction in a sec. So just to break us up from the tray here before that Aeldari reaction, I'm thinking maybe Wave Serpent versus the Predator Annihilator, which is on the left-hand side right now, or, I don't know, I think I'm maybe going towards this a little bit more. I want some revenge on this Land Raider. There's some units in the back of it too, so maybe some wounds can be done if I get a really good roll. Have my Wraith Knight fire into the Land Raider, because that thing might not be here for much longer with Angron barreling down on it. The other thing I'm really worried about, Angron is here and the Bloodthirster, and my Guiding Fate Aeldari unit is at the back. So I tried to give them some protection with the Wraith Knight. That doesn't seem to be working. So I might have to shift some other units over here really quick, or get these guys in behind the C-Can, or get them the hell out of here. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't have another Guiding Fate to fail, because I'm going to have another unit removed if that's the case as a Battle Scar. So I'm going to think for a second about the strategy I want to pull off here. I will come back in the tray and we will get the Aeldari reaction. I'm going to add up all the points for this battle thus far, and we'll cover the victory point total at the end of turn 1, because this is literally it. Turn 1 is almost done as soon as this reaction is finished by the Aeldari. So I don't feel great about this. I thought about it a bit. I'm going to have that Wraith Knight fire into the Land Raider. I thought about the Wraith Knight maybe firing into Angron, but it's possible that my Avatar of Cain can do some range before Angron kind of closes the distance there, and then the Avatar can maybe take on a wounded Angron. We'll have to see how this one rolls. So here we go. This is the Heavy Wraith Cannon again. This is a D3 attack, so cut this dice in half. That's how many attacks we get. Last time it was a 1, hoping for a 6. It's a 1 again. So this is not good. Hitting on a 3+. Got that at least. Thank you. It is strength 20 versus toughness 12. It's going to be 3 to wound. Got that one this time. Awesome. It is a -4 to AP. That brings the Land Raider up to a 6+ save. It did not make the save, and this is 2d6 in damage. So just imagine if 3 had gone through here. It's this times 3 pretty much, but let's see at least what we get. That's exactly what we want. So 12 wounds have been allocated to the Chaos Land Raider. Can you imagine if I just got maybe even 1 shot? So the Land Raider with that 12 wounds has been taken. It goes from 16 down to 4 wounds. So the Wraith Knight is not finished yet. I'm just over. I don't think I have a token on my Land Raider. So I'll get that sorted, and then we'll come back and I'll get the points tallied up, and we'll talk about that round a little bit. Hold on a sec. I was just moving over to put the token there. I don't know where it went, but I have 4 wounds now allocated or left for the Land Raider, and I completely forgot, but we still have the star cannons here. So like chess, my finger is still on the piece. I'm going to be doing these. These star cannons, they're not amazing, but they got a little bit of strength to them, so this might be able to strip another 1 or 2 wounds, or maybe destroy if we get super lucky. 2 attacks, 3+, and 3+. Okay, so we got 3 out of 4, and these are the weapons that are on the back or the shoulders of the Wraith Knight. So it is strength 8 versus toughness 12. I'm going to need 5s here to wound. Didn't get it. Can't reroll. Was worth a shot. Now I'm going to go tally up the points. We'll cover the turn there in just a sec outside of the tray to break this up a bit, and we'll see who's leading after turn 1. Here is how the field looks at the end of that first turn. So there's actually no victory points sent out anywhere here. So the objective control tally starts after round 2. So even though the Aeldari own that centerpiece right now, that's not counting. And they don't have any objectives outside of their deployment zone or in the other team's deployment zone. So the score is currently 0-0. If there had been any enemies defeated here, so if the Land Raider had gone down to the Wraith Knights, or the Wraith Knight had gone down to the Land Raider, that would have been 1 unit destroyed point each. That still would have been tied up, but currently it is a big goose egg. I am probably going to maybe do 1 more round for tonight. It's a nice thing about this too. You can just kind of like leave yourself a little note to let you know where this finished up. Come back to it the next day and just take off again. And these rules, the Apocalypse, like if I had some buddies here that aren't great at Warhammer, you don't have to teach them for hours and let them know about, you know, each weapon and what it does. It's very straightforward. It's a lot of luck, but Warhammer has to do with luck anyway. So it's kind of really peeled back a lot of those rules that I don't find them annoying. They just take a lot of time and a lot of like organization. You have to make sure like, oh geez, I didn't do the sustained there, or, oh that was a rapid fire weapon I forgot, or oh that was actually 3 damage instead of 4 because there's a +1 to it, you know, whatever it is. I like these a lot more, and again, just kind of my style of play. And this is something, a lot of these battles I do are by myself. I do have friends over, like there's a couple videos that I do have posted, or at least on my Instagram, where I've had friends over. But I hope to maybe do that, like a really big battle royale with some buddies, have them over, do the Apocalypse rules, maybe give them each a force, have Space Marine versus Tyranid versus Aeldari versus Chaos Space Marines or something, and go from there. Or put out a bunch of 30k armies and just have the same rules, which is also pretty cool. But yeah, we're going to move into number 2 turn now. It's going to be back over to the Aeldari for their movement. I have to start to strategize here. This is not a force that I can just barrel in and hope that they're going to win against someone as aggressive and as fast as the World Eaters. So I'm going to have to, I think, even though the defenders won, play a more defensive game here and really try to control my points and get some really good units that have a lot of wounds out onto that center token to hold it. And that might be my Wave Serpent pulling back in, maybe picking up the Fire Dragons, something like that. So I'll have to figure it out, but it is their move now, and I'll be back in just a second to show you kind of what I've done and what my strategy and thoughts are behind that. And then we'll move into the shoots, because there's definitely a lot of units within that 12 inches. And then any hand-to-hand combat that's going on, and then we'll also get our Khorne reaction. So be right back with the move. Turn 2 / battle round 2 move for the Aeldari is done. I can't say this is the battle round because that would be every single move, but the turn move turn is done. So I did pack in the Fire Dragons and Foigan into the back of the Wave Serpent. So they got a little bit of protection. This thing still has 8 wounds. I'm also going to be able to fire with it against the, I believe, the Predator I think I'm going to be hitting. In here, the Warp Spiders use their regular 7 move to jump off the building there and down to help support this number 1 objective. The Wraithguard are still there with the Spirit Seer. The Avatar, I'll show you guys in a sec, is over the other side, ready to take on Angron if needed. And the Wind Riders have moved up to the wall here. They actually do have the line of sight. They're just over the wall because they're hovering. They're going to fire into the Blood Crushers, and these things are vehicles, or at least I'm considering them vehicles for this battle, so that's going to be able to happen. And these Blood Crushers can also get into hand-to-hand combat with Wind Riders. That would not be good for the Wind Riders, but we'll see what happens. Flipping it over on the other side here, my Wraith Knight, thank God, is going to be able to fire again, and it's going to be able to fire into the Land Raider. The Land Raider could not disembark its troops, so it still has the Slaughterbound in there, as well as 2 squads of 8 bound, so hopefully we can get some mortal wounds from that too. We'll have to see. That rule is still going to happen since it's a vehicle and there's things inside of it. If it explodes, it is going to hurt them, if it does have the ability for that. The Viper moved out as well. It's going to try to put some wounds down on Angron if it can, and since this is a vehicle versus a character, it can do that, and then Angron can probably fly over and chop it in half next turn, but the Avatar of Cain may not let that happen, as he is right around the corner, ready to jump, and I think that would be a very cool hand-to-hand combat fight, so we'll see what happens there. Terminators moved up and formed a bit of a wall right in the middle, so anything coming through is going to have to come through them and Marneus Calgar, the chapter master of the Ultramarines. And I've actually, that defensive strategy I was talking about, I've put it a little bit more into practice. So I have the Dark Reapers on the left side of the Seacan. I have the Wraithblades on the right with the Otark there protecting this Guiding Fate Aeldari Guardian squad, because if they survive this battle, then that is going to be a battle trait as opposed to a battle scar. And then over here, my other unit of Storm Guardians is holding down number 3. The rules here too for Apocalypse is you only have to be 6 inches away from an objective control token. I don't know if I've mentioned that this game, but right now, token 3, token 5, and token 1 are being held by the Aeldari, but when the Chaos move, the number 1 is definitely going to be up for grabs. We're going to have to count the numbers and see what kind of troops are around that. And that's also at the end of this battle round, round 2, is when we start adding up the totals for the objective control points for the game. But yeah, we're going to get into some shoots here. If there's anything in 12 inches for the regular models, I'm going to be using the minor skirmishes. So it's going to be D3 if it's a unit of 5 or less, and then a D6 if it's 10 or more. And then we're also going to be able to use vehicles and character models to start firing on everybody and see what's going on there. But I'll look at it all. We'll be in the tray in a sec, and I'll let you guys know what's going on. So into the tray where the actual battle kind of develops. Not as cool looking as the table, but this is where all the dramatic rules occur. So I'm going to start with the forces closest to me. So we'll go Wind Riders, Wave Serpent, Avatar of Cain, Viper, Wraith Knight. These are all going to be in the tray probably. We'll see if I do them all. I might just be able to sum them up to shorten this up a little bit. And I was measuring as well. I don't really see anything within 12 inches there for the minor skirmishes yet. The 8 bound on the far side of the table are starting to get a little bit closer, but the Warp Spiders don't have anything in range. The Wraithguard don't have anything in range, so that's probably going to happen the next couple turns. And that is these walls that are there. The Nakmund walls are kind of slowing up the ability to like race forward. But let's do this first. So it's going to be the Wind Riders. All 3 of those are set up with a Shuriken Cannon. So it's going to be 3 attacks times 3, so 9 in total. Not too bad. Hitting on a 3+. Okay, 1 fell off there. 1 fell off there. And 2 fell off there. So I'm just going to remove the ones that weren't at 3. So we have these that have gone through, 5 attacks in total. It is a strength 6. The Blood Crushers that are their target are a toughness of 7 though. So this is going to be 5s to wound, because it is a higher toughness than the strength of the weapon, so I need 5s here. Oh, not bad. So we got 3. Tougher roll to make. I'm glad we did it. It is a -1 to AP, and the Blood Crushers do have a 5+ invulnerable, but this is only -1, so it brings them from their regular 3+ save up to a 4+ save. So we'll switch to a black for red dice. We're looking for 4s here for the Khorne Blood Crushers. And 2 were not made, so that's a 3 and a 1. I'm just going to see if they have a Feel No Pain. I don't think they do. Nope. So that means that there have been 2 wounds allocated. It is 2 damage per with the Shuriken Cannon, so that's 2, 4. That is 1 Blood Crusher dead. So not a unit kill, but one of the Blood Crushers has been killed, and that is the first Aeldari kill for the game. I'm just going to move my Blood Crusher off the table. So that's the end of that one. I'm going to now just come back in a sec, look at the Wave Serpent stats, and see if I want to shoot these at the Predator or at the Rhino. So yeah, sorry if I was saying Viper there. I don't know if I did because I had the Viper profile up, but it's the Wave Serpent firing now. The reason I was looking at this is there's a couple of things. So the Rhino has a lower toughness. It also has 11 troops in it, including Khorne the Betrayer. So if I can explode that thing, it might have a chance to deadly demise and kill some of the troops inside. I think that's what I'm going to do because the troops are a little bit more of a concern here for this side of the table. It is very possible though that like if I did put this against the Predator and I got lucky and destroyed it, that is less model for me to take on because the Wave Serpent over here with those las cannons on the Predator can probably get shredded up here in the next couple turns. But I'm going to be putting this against the Rhino. I think I have a better chance of wounding it and then in turn maybe killing some of the guys inside. So there's a few different weapon systems here on the Wave Serpent. The main one is the Twin Bright Lance, which is on the bottom of the vehicle. It only has one attack, but it does hit on a 3+ and its twin linked has a higher strength as well. So we're going to try that. Got the 3. I was worried about that. So this is 12 strength versus toughness 9. It's going to be a 3 to wound. And I can reroll that if I had to because it's twin linked. We got it though. -3 to AP. The Rhino does not have an invulnerable save, so that's going to be a 6+. It did not make it. So the Twin Bright Lance is D6 +2. Not amazing, but we got 4 wounds off of it. So it goes from 10 down to 6 and a little bit closer to maybe if my Wave Serpent can survive destroying this thing next turn. I don't think Khorne are going to be stupid enough to let the troops stay in there though. They're probably going to run out and try to take that #1 objective, but I'm not done yet either here. So I still have the twin star cannons on the top of the Wave Serpent as well. These are the same weapons that are on our Wraith Knight, and let's see if they can hit. So this is 2 attacks hitting on a 3+. Shit. One fell off. I can re-roll this because it's twin linked though. So this is strength 8 versus toughness 9. It's going to be a 5. Didn't get it, but since it's twin linked, I can re-roll. And I didn't get it either. So that is it for the Wave Serpent. This thing's a transport vehicle. There is a different variant of it. Don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. The Falcon, I think. And it's more of a gun platform. Like it's got some stronger weapons up on the turret. But this is just kind of like an automated turret on the top with the bigger weapons down below. So that is it for my Wave Serpent. It was able to take some wounds off, which wasn't bad. The Wind Riders did okay there, killing the Blood Crusher. So I'll break it off here and I'll show you guys just how that looks right now at the table. So here we are. 1 Blood Crusher down. They're melee only, so they can't really fight until they get into contact. The Wind Riders are fast enough too that they may be able to zip away. I'll see if I want to use that as a reaction because that's looking very close to, I think 12 inches is the Blood Crusher movement. So if that's the case, they might be in hand-to-hand right next turn. The Wave Serpent here with the Fire Dragons in the back was able to chip quite a few wounds off of the Rhino. Wasn't able to destroy it, but that's where it is. And you can see the Rhino, the Khorne Berserkers, the Goremongers are all very close to this #1 center objective control. So that is going to be the battle here coming up in a second. We're not done with the Aeldari though. We still have the Avatar of Khorne. We have the Viper and the Wraith Knight all able to fire at Angron and at the Land Raider just beyond him. So we'll see how that goes. If I can get some more lucky rolls, this might be an explosion of the Land Raider and I might be able to kill the Slaughterbound and some of the 8-bound within. So back to the tray and we'll get this one going. So this might be a little dangerous. I moved the Avatar of Khorne beside the structure, so just like chest my fingers off the piece. That movement's been done. I can't go back in time and change that. I am, or I think I may have actually been, no, I might have just been short. So what I'm going to try to do here is use the Wailing Doom range attack, which is 12 inches. Angron is definitely in range and in line of sight of that attack. It only has 1 attack though, so I'm a little worried since I've been rolling poorly that it might not do anything. If it does hit him though, it's going to possibly do some damage. So that's my first move. The thing that's not great is if Angron doesn't get wounded here very much or not at all, he is definitely within 14 inches to run into the Avatar of Khorne during their movement or even during a reaction if I want to do that. And he would have the initiative in hand-to-hand combat, which might mean the Avatar would go down very, very quickly without any kind of counterattack. But let's try this. Let's try to weaken him up here. It is the Wailing Doom, range 1 attack, hitting on a 2+. Got that. Wicked. Strength 16 versus toughness 11. This is going to be a 3 to wound. Got that too. Oh, thank God. So it is a -4 to AP, which is usually absolutely devastating. We bring a lot of models up to a 7+, which is impossible. But Angron does have an invulnerable save of 4+, so he's going to be able to make a save here if it's a 4 or higher. And he did not. So I'm just going to see if he has a Feel No Pain, since he is a Demon Primarch. There is the Reborn in Blood, which is all of the Khorne rules. I'm not building this in here. Since the Aeldari aren't really getting a lot of their bonuses with, they have shrines and things like that that I'm not using. So this is a very stripped back, straightforward, old school, like, I don't know, 2nd generation Warhammer game, which I'm loving. So this is a wound, and it is going to be D6 plus 2 that's going to be allocated to Angron. That is pretty good. So Angron starts up with 16 wounds. He is going to be down to, it is D6, so this is 6 wounds, so he's going to be down to 10 wounds. I'm just going to go flip his token, so I'm tracking that. This is exactly what the Avatar of Khaine needed to, so if Angron does fly into hand-to-hand combat next turn, the Avatar of Khaine is going to be taking a pretty heavily wounded model. I could keep blasting at him as well with the Viper, but I want to see first. I know I'm kind of supposed to be moving from the closest part of the table further out, but I'm going to be using the Wraith Knight now to see if I can take out that Land Raider first, and then that Viper is just going to be a bonus if I need it. So now we're going to be firing with the Wraith Knight. Last turn, you guys saw how devastating it can be if you get good rolls. So that was only 1 attack that made it through all the steps. If I get 2 or 3 here, it's going to bode super well, and hopefully, fingers crossed, destroy this Land Raider. So we are using the Heavy Wraith Cannon again. It is a D3. Okay, so that's 1.5. It rounds up to 2. So I'm getting 2 attacks this time, better than last time. Hitting on a 3+. Both are through. Wicked. Strength 20, toughness 12, 3s to wound. 1 is through, 1 fell off. I'll take it. -4 to AP is going to be a 6 save for the Land Raider. Did not get it. So this, we'll see how this rolls, but it's 2d6 in damage. And that is 6 wounds. I don't remember how many this thing had left. Was it 4? So the Land Raider this time has been destroyed before it could destroy the Wraith Knight. The Land Raider does have something called Deadly Demise, which is an ability. So all models that are inside can be affected. I'll read that while we're on camera here. So core ability, some models have Deadly Demise X listed in their abilities. For this one, it's D6. So that's going to tell us how many X is represented by. So in their abilities, when such a model is destroyed, roll 1d6 before moving it from play. If such a model is a transport, which is in this case, roll before any embarked models disembark, which is also the case because there's still the Slaughterbound and 6 8-bound in there. So on a 6, each unit within 6 inches of that model suffers a number of mortal wounds denoted by X. If this is a random number, roll separately for each unit within. So I'm just going to read that again. Some models have Deadly Demise X, which is 6, D6 in this case. Hold on. My dog's also drinking, so I'm just trying to read here. Roll 1d6 before removing it from play. If such a model is a transport, roll before any embarked models disembark. On a 6, each unit within 6 inches of that model. So that's inside too. So we're rolling a d6 here. I'll roll with the red dice, and if it's a 6, each unit within 6 inches of that model suffers a number of mortal wounds, which is going to be the d6. So this is a 6. If it's not a 6, nothing happens. The transport explodes. All the models are safe inside somehow. If this is a 6, not good for the World Eaters. And it's a 2. So I'm just going to read one more time to make sure. Listen, when a model is destroyed, roll 1d6 before moving it from play. If such a model is a transport, roll before any embarked models disembark. On a 6, So on a 6 each unit. So we didn't get a 6, so that D6 roll for the mortal wounds is not going to happen. Luckily, this time for the World Eaters, they are okay, and all the models are just going to poof onto the table. Not great for the Aeldari, but that Land Raider's off the table, which gives my Wraith Knight a little bit of wiggle room. And that also means that I can put my Viper's firepower on Angron here in a sec. I'm just going to remove the Land Raider, make sure that all of the models are out, kind of where the Land Raider used to be. And then from there, we'll move over to the Viper, and we'll finish up turn 2 for the Aeldari, and see what reaction the World Leaders want to do. I'll just break it up a little bit and show you guys. So this is the aftermath from the Land Raider explosion. That's also a unit kill. Tally point for the Aeldari, which is great. The Wraith Knight did an awesome job. This is not the best case scenario, but it is definitely not the worst. We do have now 6/8 bound and a slaughter bound out in the open, but they're no longer in an armored behemoth. If you guys, anyways, behemoth, but I say behemoth. It's from Reservoir Dogs. But yeah, so they are now on the table. Nothing was done to them. No wounds were allocated, but still they're out in the open now. I'm going to hop back to the tray here in just a second. It's going to be the Viper versus Angron. That's going to be the last shoot here for the Aeldari, and then there will be the reaction. I'm actually going to really strategize here for the World Eaters since they did lose the Land Raider. I probably would have used the Land Raider against the Wraith Knight again as a reaction. But there is the Predator over here that can fire those devastating las cannons at the Wave Serpent that also has models in it, and the Wave Serpent does have a deadly demise. There's the Blood Crushers that could go into hand-to-hand combat with the Wind Riders, or Angron might, as per lore, want to get into a massive hand-to-hand combat scrap with the Avatar of Cain, which would mean that he would move, get a hand-to-hand combat move, and then it would also flip back to them next turn. So we'll see what happens. I've got to think about it. What's best for the Khorne Berserkers, what is best for their kind of strategy in the battle, and also build in their lore, because these guys are built to fly into hand-to-hand combat. That's what they're supposed to do, and they're very good at it. So over to the tray, we'll finish up the Aeldari turn. I'm just going to add that victory point for the Land Raider's destruction, and we'll take it from there. Viper firing into Angron to finish up the Aeldari turn 2 here. Actually, their battle round. So the Viper is equipped with a missile launcher. I'm going to be using the Star Shot. It's not as many attacks, but it's a strength 10, kind of the only chance I have against Angron, because if I use the Sunburst, it would be pretty useless. I also have another Star Cannon on this as well. That's up on the gunner's deck of the Viper. I really like the Star Cannon because I was looking through the Aeldari weapons, and there's some that are, you know, a few more attacks, but not as much strength. There's some that are multiple attacks, but very low strength. This one has 2 attacks and a strength 8. So it's kind of like right in the soft spot there. Really good for taking on armored infantry models, but also can maybe hold its weight against some characters. So that's why I put it on. And that's what we're going to be using first. So I'm going to be firing the Star Cannon, hitting on a 2+, 2 attacks. 1 fell off. That sucks. It is strength 8, toughness 11, 5 to wound. Didn't get that either. So that's the end of that. Missile launcher Star Shot hitting on a 3+. And that didn't happen either. So that is not a good end to the turn here. It is now the Khorne and Khorne Berserker reaction. So I've been looking over the field. Angron might be going down here if he gets another blast from the Wraith Knight. So I think I am going to launch him into hand-to-hand combat. I'll take one more look at the table, see what's best, because the other thing here is the Aeldari will get a victory point if they have more kills. So if there is a chance that Angron can take out the Avatar of Cain, it would be 1-1 for unit kills. So that would be a stalemate again, ending turn 2 as 0-0. But yeah, I'll look at the table one more time, and then I will show you guys the table and see what we're getting into. The heavyweight bout is on. Let's take this off for you guys so you can see what's going on here. So I did decide to have Angron hop in and take the initiative against the Avatar of Cain. So Angron is busted up a bit. He's down to 10 wounds from his original. And then we do have the Avatar of Cain at the full 14. Apologies, I didn't video this before. I said I was going to. I was taking pictures with my camera. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm filming. I'm not. So this is the scrap going on right now. It is the Khornate reaction turn. So this means that Angron, it is his turn. He is reacting to what has happened to him. He is in hand-to-hand combat with the Avatar of Cain. Unless by some chance the Avatar of Cain has a fight first, I'll have to check and see. This will be Angron coming in first. I'll explain the two profiles that he has with his weapons. You can only select one of the two different profiles, and we're going to see if the Avatar of Cain can first off survive those attacks, and then also get a counter attack and see what he can do, because the Avatar of Cain is also a damn good hand-to-hand combat model. So let's go to the tray, and we'll get this epic showdown going. Alrighty, so let's do Angron's profiles here first, just so you guys can see what he's got. I'm also checking two abilities here for Avatar of Cain. And, ooh, he does have Molten Form. So each time an attack is allocated to this model, have the damage characteristic of that attack. So that's going to be huge for the Avatar of Cain. I didn't know that existed. Okay, and then Wrathful Presence for Angron. I'm going to give him one of these two. Yeah, it more helps out the models around him. So there's the two profiles here for Angron. He has Seminarius and Spine Grinder. Those are his two weapons. So there is a strike profile that is 8 attacks, 14 strength, d6 plus 2 damage with an AP of -3. There is the Seminarius and Spine Grinder sweep attack. This is definitely made for taking out infantry. Even armored up Space Marines and heavily armored Space Marines like Terminators would also not bode well against that, but it is not going to do much, I don't think, against the Avatar of Cain, since it is also a monstrous model, quite large, and very high toughness and wounds. So I am going to be choosing the Seminarius and Spine Grinder strike profile. So I'm going to get my 8 dice here for Angron. So it is hitting on a 2+. Here we go. We did get 1-1, but that is still good. Strength 14 against toughness 11. This is going to be 3s to wound. A couple more fell off. There's still quite a few attacks through here though, so that's it here. -3 to AP, so I'm going to grab 5 black dice. Keep this differentiated. So it is a -3 to AP. This brings our Avatar of Cain up to his 4+ invulnerable. And he actually made quite a few saves. Wow. He's not as big a model like as Angron and some of the other Demon Primarchs, but he can definitely hold his own. He is an avatar of a god, so it makes sense. So these two are through. The damage of the strike from Seminarius and Spine Grinder is d6 plus 2. So we'll switch it back to the red dice here. Ooh, that's big. Okay, so the Molten Form allows this to be halved. So this becomes a 3 plus 2, so that is 5. And this becomes a 2.5 plus 2. So this would be 8. So that's 4 wounds. So I'm just going to flip this so I remember it's a lot. 4. And then 5, this is 5 plus 2 is 7. So we have 3.5. So that's also 4 attacks. Rounded up. So the Avatar of Cain goes from 14 wounds minus that 8. I'm just going to flip his token around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's down to 6 wounds. He is going to be able to fight back, and Angron still has 11. I have dyslexia or something. I've never been diagnosed, but I have a very difficult time figuring out numbers in my head like that, so that's why I need to go over to the token and spin him down. Also, why it took me a bit to get these dice halved. So now it is the Avatar of Cain's turn. It's going to be the Wailing Doom strike profile, because again, the sweep profile, I don't think it's going to do as much. So we're going to do 6 attacks here, hitting on a 2+. This is now Avatar of Khorne, so 4 of the 6 are through. It is strength 16 versus toughness 11. That's also going to be 3s to wound. Ooh, very good roll. So picked up every single attack. Just like the Avatar of Khorne, Angron also has an invulnerable, so this would usually be a -4 to AP, which would have Angron at a 6. But since he has that 4+ invulnerable, he's going to be able to make 4+ invulnerable saves. So here we go. And he did save 2, so 2 have been saved. Angron also does not have a halving ability or anything, so his kind of strength is actually in Born in Blood, so he can die and come back, mattering on kind of what dice you've rolled. So if you guys are Khorne, Berserker, Angron fans, I apologize, but it's just the way that my rules are working here. So these 2 are through. It is D6 plus 2 damage as well, so we're going to roll here. And this is not going to be halved, so this should be easier math for me. So we have 7 and we have 6. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 wounds, right? I'm going to add that just in case. I don't want to kill Angron if he's not. So 7 plus 6 is 13 wounds. That means that Angron has been killed by the Avatar of Khorne, and that is actually another tally kill for a unit for the Aeldari during their turn. So Angron had 10 wounds left. There were 13 administered to him, so he is dead. Just removing his model over from the other side of the table and taking his wound token away. So that is it for the Aeldari turn 2. We're going to move now to the Khorne Berserkers. They just lost their Demon Primarch. Well, they didn't lose him. He went back to the void, the warp, to kind of come back again at some point and be reborn in blood, just not in this battle. So yeah, we'll do the move with the Khorne Berserkers, and I'll come back and show you guys what's up there. As you can see, the center objective is definitely being rivaled over right now. I would say at the moment that the World Eaters do have that objective control point just with the sheer amount of wounds they have around it. The Avatar of Khorne is there, but there's also the Rhino of the World Eaters, Khorne the Betrayer, who's a character. We have 2 full squads of Exalted 8-bounds, and then a full section of Khorne Berserkers versus Warp Spiders, the Farseer, and the Wraith Guards. So right now, that is held by Khorne. The middle objective, though, is only decided upon at the end of the battle, unless the rules have changed here for this one, but that's what it was during Battle 1. I'm going to do some minor skirmishes here because the World Eaters to the right of the frame right now have the Warp Spiders in range and in line of sight. And they're going to be firing upon them to see what kind of damage can be done there. Khorne can't shoot at them, nor can the Rhino, as character models and vehicles can't shoot at the Peon models, and the Peon models can't shoot at them. But that doesn't mean that the World Eaters can't take some pop shots at the Warp Spiders. So I'm going to go to the tray, do that off camera. There's some other shoots too that I'm going to do probably off camera and then come back and show you guys what's going on. I also have to see if the range is accurate. So the Bloodthirster is next in line here to take on the Wraith Knight. They're also both about the same size. They are massive models. This is not a Games Workshop Bloodthirster. Shh, don't tell them. It's actually a little bit bigger, or maybe the same size as the new ones. I'm not sure, but I got that one in like a third-party site. So yeah, that might be a shoot that's going to happen. Maybe get that one in the tray. And then just as I was moving over here, I don't know if you guys saw just in the corner of the frame there for a sec, but we have the Blood Crushers in hand-to-hand combat with the Wind Riders, vehicle versus vehicle. So that's going to, at least I'm considering the Blood Crushers vehicles for this one. So they are in it with the Wind Riders, and they are going to have the initiative. So I'll probably do that. And then we will finish up the Khorne move with that. There'll be one reaction from the Aeldari. And I think that's it for the night for me after turn 2 is done. And then come back either tomorrow or Thursday and keep this one rolling. But let's get to the tray and I'll do some rolling and then come back and show you guys what happened. So just a quick sum up there. We did have Khorne's World Eaters in behind fire into the Warp Spiders. Pretty good roll. It was the minor skirmishes, so the Warp Spiders are a unit of 5 or less, so it's a D3. There's a 1 rolled, so 1 Warp Spider has been killed and removed, but that is it. There's no other Peon models, I'm calling them, that are within range. Now it is going to be the Bloodthirster of Khorne versus the Wraith Knight. The Bloodthirster has 3 range profiles. All are within range. And it doesn't have the rule where you have to select one of them. So there's the Blood Flail. In this case, my model has an axe, Hellfire Breath, and Lash of Khorne, which he does have. So I'm going to be using all of these against the Wraith Knight and seeing if we can maybe kill it from the side of Khorne, or at least wound it. So the Blood Flail is hitting on a 2+. Got the 2. It is strength 16 versus toughness 12. It's going to be 3 to wound. Got the 3. -3 to AP. That brings us up to our Scatter Shield 4+ invulnerable. So hoping here that the Wraith Knight can make a 4. Did not. Made a 3. That's not good. So this is D6 + 1. So that's 5 wounds allocated to the Wraith Knight. There is the Scatter Shield ability, though, that you subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. So this is actually, it's going to be 4 wounds instead of 5. So I'm just going to go over and subtract 4 from the token here for my Wraith Knight. So I am tracking. And the Wraith Knight did well. It is down to 2 wounds now, though, so it's just hanging on. And the Bloodthirster has a few more attacks. The Bloodthirster is super angry that Angron was taken out by this thing, so he's trying to get some revenge for his demonic brother. Hellfire Breath, not as strong an attack, but it is D6. So we're getting 2 attacks from that. It's a torrent weapon as well, so it hits automatically. So we don't have to roll for a hit. Strength 5 versus toughness 12. Gonna need 6s to wound. Didn't get it, so the Fire Breath just kind of bent around the armor of the Wraith Knight and nothing happened. And then there is the Lash of Khorne, which is a hell of a lot of attacks. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is your really good anti-infantry. Like this would probably kill maybe a full squad of 20 like Cadian shock troopers. So 9 attacks hitting on a 2+. All of those through except for 1. And this thing is, you know, probably like 4 or 5 stories tall. The Wraith Knight's got a bit of height on it, but the Bloodthirster's wingspan makes it taller. So this thing is huge. This is strength 8 versus that toughness of 12, so it's going to be 5s to wound. A lot more fell off there. That is good for our Wraith Knight. These 2 are through, though. It is a -1 to AP, which is going to bring our Wraith Knight up to a 3+ save. He needs these. Ooh, that's not good. So this one was saved. This one was not. It is 2 damage, and I don't want to make it so until I know for sure. Yeah, so our Wraith Knight, no, it doesn't, because the Scatter Shield reduces the damage by 1. So the Wraith Knight is just hanging on with that 1 wound remaining. Craziness. So that one is done. I still have the Predator Annihilator. It's going to fire at the Wave Serpent. I'll do that one off camera, and then I'll come back. We'll sum up the turn in total, and then we'll get the reaction. Well, before that, we'll get the reaction from the Aeldari, and then we'll move into turn 3 when I come back tomorrow night or the night after. All right, so Aeldari reaction still has to happen. We're just at the very tail end here of turn 2. Wave Serpent was wounded further by the Predator Annihilator of the World Eaters. It is down to 6 wounds, but it is still holding on. I'm not going to be using it as the reaction here. It has the Fire Dragons in the back, but I'm going to do a move there. I think this has to get into the thick of things in that objective point control 1 spot, drop off the Fire Dragons to give a little bit more numbers to that center. Khorne, as we saw, moved up. That's all been covered. Over here, very, very lucky, that Scatter Shield. And I just read the stat again to be sure, the ability. So it is any attack that's allocated. So since this thing has 3 weapon systems for range, any one of those attacks, so an attack is coming in from that weapon, would be reduced by 1. So the Wraith Knight actually does have 1 wound left before it is taken out of the game, because I think that is very soon. The Slaughterbound can get into hand-to-hand combat with it. The Bloodthirster can get into hand-to-hand combat with it because it's a It's a character slash vehicle model. I am going to be using it one last time as that firing platform to try to hopefully soften up this Bloodthirster. So maybe the Avatar of Cain, Asserman, Fuegan, Marneus Calgar, the Otark, Spirit Seer maybe would be able to finish it off. If not, this thing's going to be flying around picking off character models for the rest of the game, or vehicles for that matter. So I am going to move back to the tray to finish off turn 2. This is going to be the Aeldari reaction, and it will be the Wraith Knight firing its weapon systems into the Bloodthirster in hopes it will take it out before it's probable inevitable doom there next turn. But let's get to the tray and we'll finish up turn 2. Woof, and you can tell I'm getting tired. I'm starting to slur my words there. So this is it. Going to finish up the night here with this. It is the Wraith Knight using the heavy Wraith Cannon, hitting on a, we'll have to do the D3 roll first. And another one. Fuck, man. If I could get 6s with this fucking thing and we just keep rolling, it'd be amazing. So we have 1. That's 1 attack. Have to still get a 3+ here. Didn't get it. So that is it for the Wraith Cannon. That was our best shot at putting some pain down on this Bloodthirster. There are still the 2 star cannons. I'm going to fire those in hopes that it's going to do something, but I'm not sure. 3+. Okay, so 3 of the 4 have attacked. It is a strength 8 versus a toughness 11, going to be 5s to wound. And only 1 made it through. It is the -3 to AP. The Bloodthirster, however, has an invulnerable save of 4+, and it made a 5. So that is it for the Wraith Knight. One last attack there. That finishes up turn 2. While we're live here in the tray, there was a higher kill tally by the Aeldari this turn. They took out Angron, they took out the Land Raider. So that is 1 victory point Aeldari so far. And that is 0 kill tally units for the World Eaters and 0 victory points for them. So right now it is 1-0 for the Aeldari and Ultramarine Alliance versus the World Eaters. It's flipping back over to the Aeldari here too for turn 3 when we come back. And this one is going to really start to go because the forces are closing in. There's going to be a lot more of those minor skirmishes, and a lot of the objective control points are going to start to be rivaled over and battled over. It's going to get super insane, I think, because there's so many Khorne models out here still with tons of wounds. So even those minor skirmish D3 rolls, D6 rolls are just gonna, I think, slowly pick away at these units unless I get like 6s every single roll, which could happen. But yeah, that's it. So 1-0 currently for the Aeldari, and their Guiding Fate Guardian unit is still alive back behind the C-Can by Objective Control 5, and if they survive this battle, that means that we are going to get a battle trait for them, and I'll explain that down the line if we get it, and if not, another Aeldari unit's going to have to be removed. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying it. I know I am. We'll be back for turn 3 here in just a couple seconds. For me, it'll be like 24 hours or more. For you guys, a couple seconds. So see you in a bit. Bye-bye. Sorry, everybody. Back here just before we head off. So this is still the end of turn 2. I totally forgot that we had the Blood Crushers versus the Wind Riders. I did that off camera in the tray just now because I saw them just as I was about to turn off the lights in my basement. The Blood Crushers absolutely obliterated the Wind Riders. They did 8 wounds with their first attack. The Wind Riders combined had 6 wounds. So the Blood Crushers are through, and they're probably going to barrel down at the Wave Serpent and any other characters on that side, since I'm considering them vehicles for this battle. That is 1 unit kill for Khorne, so it is still 1 victory point to 0 victory points for Aeldari, because the kill tally for the Aeldari during this turn was 2. They got Angron and the Land Raider, and then the Blood Crushers got the Wind Riders. So 2-1 in kill tallies means 1 victory point for the Aeldari. So yes, now we're finishing up turn 2. Show you guys a quick shot here before I head up to bed of the battlefield. The center objective is going to be fought over here real soon. We'll come back again for you guys, a couple seconds for me, 24 hours or more for turn 3, starting with the Aeldari movement. We are back at it, and the Aeldari have just finished their movement phase for turn 3 of this battle. Some moves did definitely happen. So the Wave Serpent dropped off those fire dragons. We have Fuegan staring down Khorne the Betrayer. He's going to be able to do his range attack there. Hopefully weaken Khorne up before Khorne definitely gets into hand-to-hand combat. There's also the fire dragons up here that will be able to fire down at his Khorne Berserker unit if that is who they choose to fire upon. The Blood Crushers over here, I was just thinking, because there's no characters or vehicles on the side, so they would be able to come and kind of contend for this objective control point. These two would not be fighting because they're not allowed as per my rules, but we do have Asterman here, and if the Wave Serpent is still there, it might be able to fire into them. Over around this side, I was actually able to use the Flicker Jump by the Warp Spiders. They did lose a troop though, so 1 wound was delivered, and what happens here is there's a d6 rolled for each model in the unit. There was 4 because one had died in one of the previous turns, and if you roll a 1 for any of those models, it is a mortal wound to the unit, so that is the end of one of the Warp Spiders, but they are in behind enemy lines and they're going to be firing into the Goremongers. Over here we've had Marneus Calgar pull up, as well as the Viper and the Avatar of Cain, and they're going to be putting their firepower down on the Slaughterbound up front to hopefully weaken it or possibly kill it. And then the Wraith Knight, still standing, 1 wound remaining, is going to be firing at the Bloodthirster in hopes to weaken it, or maybe by some chance, if I finally get an epic roll, kill it. That is it for this one, so I'm going to move to the tray. I'm going to do a lot of the minor skirmishes off camera, anything that would be viable for that. And then I will do the character shoots so we can get that drama in the roll tray, but I'll come back and sum everything up at the end of it, just to make sure that we know, if the Warp Spiders were any kind of victoriousness, and then anything else that goes on in the field. So over to the tray. So we're going to start here closest to the dice rolling camera here where we are. First one here I'm going to start up with is Fuegan versus Khorne. Khorne will, of course, get a reaction at the end of this turn. I don't know if Khorne's going to be the one delivering that reaction, but we'll see how the battle kind of progresses from here, and then I will decide what is best for the World Eaters. In the past, we've been using Fuegan's Searsong Lance profile. This is actually going to be his Searsong Beam profile, so instead of 1 attack, it's 3, hitting on a 2+. All of those are through. That is fantastic. It is strength 8 versus toughness 4. This is going to be 2s to wound. Got all of those as well. -3 to AP. Khorne does have his invulnerable save, and I believe he also has a feel no pain. Nope, I am crazy. He does not, but there is 4+ saves here. So if he makes 4s here, it is going to be saved. If not, it is going to be 2 damage per. So he needed 4s. He did save 2. We have a 4 and a 5. This one has not been saved. He does not have a feel no pain, so I can't reroll this. That is 2 wounds that have been delivered to Khorne. So he starts with 5 wounds. He is now down to 3. I'm just going to make sure I didn't bump the dice there yesterday. Yeah, so he has 5. So that one is finished. I'm going to keep moving here. So I have the Wave Serpent. I'm going to be firing at either the Rhino or the Predator. I think the Rhino is probably looking like a little bit of a more juicy target. And then I'm going to do those minor skirmish rolls, so the D3s and D6s mattering on what size unit it is, and then I'm going to move over to the shoots. We'll probably get that on camera with the Avatar of Cain, the Viper, and Marneus versus the Slaughterbound, and then finish up the round for the Aeldari with the Wraith Knight, hopefully doing some kind of wounds to the Bloodthirster of Khorne. So I'll roll off camera here, be back in just a sec, sum a few things up, and then we'll get to those big shoots across the table. So some very poor D3 and D3 rolls here for the minor skirmish. So the fire dragons fired down into the Khorne Berserkers and only 1 wound was removed by the troop at the back. If I'd rolled a 6, that would have been 3 models dead. So that just kind of puts that into perspective. The Wave Serpent as well did that off camera. It fired into the Rhino. I was really hoping that it was going to destroy it. It did not. It is down to 2 wounds. But if the Rhino did explode, it could have actually hurt Fuegan. Khorne would have also possibly been hurt, but maybe it is an okay thing that happened. Over here, another really shitty roll. The Warp Spiders fired into the Goremongers. They got a roll of 1, so there was 1 Goremonger removed. They only have 1 wound per. And then over here, the Terminator squad that is to the left of Marneus, right from this side, fired into the Exalted 8-bound behind the Slaughterbound, or those are just 8-bound, and brought one of them down to 1 wound, so that wasn't the worst. Now we're going to get into the main shoots here for this turn. So it is going to be the Avatar of Khorne, the Viper versus the Slaughterbound, Marneus Calgar versus the Slaughterbound, and we're going to have the Wraith Knight taking on the Bloodthirster of Khorne. There they are, 2 big towering models on the battlefield. So over to the tray, and we'll get this one finished up for turn 3 of the Aeldari. So let's start this up. We're going to change it up a little bit here. The Ultramarines are going to start the shooting with Marneus Calgar. So he has his Gauntlets of Ultramar, 4 attacks, hitting on a 2+. They're also twin-linked, which is fantastic. In the, not Fight Force 4, but one of our other playlists, Marneus was able to do some great damage and actually defeat some pretty good enemies with those Gauntlets of Ultramar. So yeah, let's see how he does here against the Slaughterbound. Apologies too if I'm kind of sniffling. I don't know if I'm getting a cold or not, but last couple of days I've been congested. So if you guys hear some slurps and sneezes and that on the camera, my bad. So here we go, hitting on a 2+. So 1 did not. It is twin linked, but that's not going to help on the hit roll. It is strength 4 versus toughness 6. So this is going to be 5s to wound. And I can reroll these 2 because it is twin linked. And I did pick up 1 more, so that is not bad. -1 to AP with those weapons, so that brings the Slaughterbound up to a 4+. It does have a 5+ invulnerable, but that's not coming into play here. This will be a normal, well, not a normal save, but a slightly heightened 4+. And that did not save. So I'm just going to see here if there is a feel no pain. Always want to make sure that I check that. It has a deadly demise too, so holy Dinah. I guess when it's going down, it just starts to like flail wildly. So it starts with 6 wounds. This is actually 4 damage. It is 2 per attack that's gone through, so 2, 4. The Slaughterbound has been brought down to 2 wounds. I'm just going to go change that token, and it still has to take on a whole onslaught of other attacks here. So down to 2 wounds, and the Viper is pretty damn good, and the Avatar of Khorne is super good. So let's move to the Viper first and see if it can maybe finish him off. And I can maybe use the Avatar of Khorne versus the Bloodthirster if it's within range. I wasn't thinking I'd had to. I would have thought the Slaughterbound would have made some saves there, but it didn't happen. So maybe this is turning in favor of the Aeldari Alliance. So I just have to bring up the Aeldari profile here. So we're going to get the Viper going first, as I said. There it is. And the range weapons I have on this against the Slaughterbound, I think I'm still going to be using the missile launcher Starshot. So a little bit harder to hit, but let's see. It is a 3+2 hit. Ugh, it doesn't have as many attacks, so that was 1. It did not fire, so the missile launcher kind of fizzled out. It's not done yet, though. It still has the Star Cannon on the back kind of gunner's seat, so this is hitting on a 2+. We got that one. It is strength 8 versus toughness 6. This is going to be 3 to wound. Got that one as well. -3 to AP. That's going to be the Slaughterbound's 5+ invulnerable. And made the save this time. So that just bounced right off of it. Next one up and last one up here is going to be the Avatar of Khorne, hoping that it can take this thing down, because that would be another unit kill. Even though he's with the 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound, he is his own unit. So I'm hoping that we can take him out and get a tally point here for the Aeldari. So this is the Wailing Doom. It is the range profile. We saw it earlier. It is hitting on a 2+. Got that. It is strength 16 versus toughness 6. This is going to be 2 to wound. Got that as well. -4 to AP. Usually this would not be savable for the Slaughterbound, but because of that invulnerable 5+, it can. Did not save it. So automatically the Slaughterbound is dead because it's D6 +2, but let's just see how many wounds are done here by the Avatar of Khorne. So we've got 6 wounds total. That would have killed the Slaughterbound right off the bat. So I'm going to go over, remove that model. It did take the entire range army there of the Viper, the Avatar of Khorne, and Marneus to take it down, but that is another character removed from the side of the Khornate army here. And that is a really good model to take out, because if he had gotten into hand-to-hand combat, I think he might have even rivaled the Avatar of Khorne. So yeah, I'm going to
come back here in just a second. We'll finish up with the Wraith Knight and the Bloodthirster. I'm just going to track that kill tally for victory point if that's going to be, you know, something that will help the Aeldari out at the end of this turn. I've been saying this for a while, but this Wraith Knight keeps kicking. So, you know, this might be its last attack. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully it can wound the Bloodthirster a bit, or maybe by some chance kill it if I get super lucky. It definitely has the firepower and weaponry to do that, but we have not been rolling great with it. So I am going to start with the heavy Wraith Cannon. It is D3 attacks. So that is 2 total. Better start than we've seen. Hitting on a 3+. One fell off. At least we got that extra one. So this is a strength 20 versus toughness 11. Almost doubles it, but it's going to be 3 to wound instead of 2. Got the wound in. -4 to AP. That's going to be a 4+ save for the Bloodthirster due to invulnerable save. And it saved it. So that is it for the Wraith, heavy Wraith Cannon, but we do have the 2-star cannons on the shoulders. So we're going to be firing those now in hopes. Much lower strength, but let's see. Hitting on 3+. Hitting on 3+. So 5 and a 1, 5 and a 1, 2 are through, 50%. Strength 10, strength 8 versus toughness 11, going to be 5s to wound. And neither of them did anything. So that might be the end of our Wraith Knight. We'll see what I want to do with the Bloodthirster. I am going to look at the table, show you guys what's going on there. Maybe not. I'll do the reaction though. Just figure out what is best in the case here for the World Eaters, and we'll take it from there. Looked at the table, and I believe the best thing here is going to be that Bloodthirster doing a counterattack with range against the Wraith Knight. The Bloodthirster does have those 3 profiles for ranged, so Blood Flail, Hellfire Breath, and Lash of Khorne. We are going to start up with the Blood Flail, hitting on a 2+. Just got it, got the 2. It is strength 16 versus toughness 12. This is going to be 3s to wound, which is insane. Didn't get that, so that's okay. The Wraith Knight is still going. And with the Scatter Shield, like, it does have that invulnerable save, but the damage being cut in half, there's going to be at least 1 dealt, and the Wraith Knight does have the 1 wound, so that is it. I also believe it has a Deadly Demise. So we're going to have to be careful there because there's a lot of Terminators to its right. So we'll keep going here though. The Hellfire Breath from the Bloodthirster, it is a torrent, so it hits automatically. We just have to see how many hits are coming through. Now we have to make sure that the strength can actually penetrate the Wraith Knight's armor. So this is strength 5 versus toughness 12. Gonna need 6s to wound. Got 1 through. -1 to AP. That is going to be a 3+ save for our Wraith Knight. Oh. That's it. So the Wraith Knight has been killed by a pretty weak attack actually, but this is, you know, the good thing about when you have D6 weapons or 2D6 weapons, you get tons of extra rolls. That's why I went with the Star Cannon for a few of the weapon systems here, because you do get those extra rolls. So that did help. The Wraith Knight has been destroyed. Now we have to see if it's going to do a Deadly Demise. So I'll read this again because it's going to be maybe different for the Wraith Knight, but it is a core ability. Some models have Deadly Demise X listed in their abilities. When such a model is destroyed, roll 1d6 before moving it from play. On a 6, each unit within 6 inches of that model suffers a number of mortal wounds denoted by X. So we're going to roll here. I'm going to see if it's a 6. If it's a 6, we have to take this to the next step. It is not. So the Wraith Knight has exploded or maybe imploded on itself. If it had exploded and done damage, there is the Terminators and maybe even Marneus would have been in that 6 inch, so that's actually good that it didn't happen. And there's a slaughterbound or 8-bound unit sneaking around on the far wall there. They may have been affected, but that is not the case here. So I'm going to remove the Wraith Knight. That is a kill tally for Chaos during the Aeldari turn. It's going back to Chaos now, so if they get any more unit kills during this turn, that means that this is probably going to go victory point Chaos, but we'll see how it goes. Be right back in a sec. I know I shouldn't call it yet, but this is looking very dangerous for the Aeldari. Just from that movement alone, the Khorne are so fast. So we have Khorne in hand-to-hand combat with the initiative against Foigan. His 30k World Eater paint scheme Khorne Berserkers are in it with the fire dragons in hand-to-hand combat. There's literally like an arena around them of other Khorne Berserkers just snarling and yelling to get the combat going. They're just waiting for their turn at the center objective. The 8-bound and these are Exalted 8-bound are right on top of the Wraith Guard, so they're just outside of hand-to-hand combat reach, but next turn that is going to happen. So hopefully those Wraith Guard can at least maybe kill one or two, but I'm not sure. The Wave Serpent is also in a lot of trouble. It has the Rhino and Predator cornering it. The Blood Crushers moved their full 12 inches, and they are looking at rivaling the objective control point here. The only one that's kind of in the vicinity is Asserman, who would be able to go down and fight them, because I'm considering these things vehicles for this game. Over on this side here, our Warp Spiders, who tried to kind of, I don't know, be a bit of a decoy for the rest of the force, are going to probably be handled by the Goremongers, which are cultists of Khorne. So we'll see how that goes. That is going to be hand-to-hand. So even though it's hand-to-hand combat, it's still going to be my minor skirmishes for that. So it'll be a D3 roll to see how many wounds the Goremongers will be administering to the Warp Spiders. Over here, I actually didn't move the Bloodthirster yet. I didn't get to this side of the table too much, but he's probably going to be flying into hand-to-hand combat with the Avatar of Cain or the Viper. Down here, the 8-bound are in it with the Terminators. That, again, is going to be a D3 roll, and if I want to react with the Terminators, I can. This one here is very scary. So there's another unit of 8-bound that were tucked in here beside the Nakman structure. They pushed that wall right down and came barreling over it. And this is the Guiding Fate Guardian unit. So they're going to have their hands full very soon. The Otark is there, but he's not going to be able to fight because these are considered peons, even though they're not. They're massive, beastly ape creatures. So Marneus might have to turn back around. Marneus is going to be a character. So yeah, we might have to have the Wraith Blades come across here to take on the 8-bound. We'll see what occurs there. And yeah, it's just not looking good. Like that middle line, it looks like this is where the smash is happening, and I think Khorne have the impact to push them back and the strength and speed to do that. So we'll see how it goes. There's still 2 turns after this one, but we are going to take it from here over to the tray for the shoots, for the minor skirmishes. I'll probably do those off camera. We'll definitely get the Karn Betrayer Fuegan fight on the dice camera, see how that one goes. And we'll be back in just a sec with that. Good luck, Aeldari. Going to sum everything up here in a bit, but some of the shoots have already happened from Khorne. So we had the Rhino and the Predator Annihilator fire into the Wave Serpent. Luckily, the Annihilator was not able to do any damage. It was actually the pesky Combi Bolter on the Khorne Rhino that was able to strip 2 wounds, or 1 wound off the Wave Serpent. It's down to 5. The Khorne Berserkers in that 30k color scheme, we were able to kill 2 of the fire dragons, and then no one else is really in range right now. We're going to move over to the Bloodthirster there in a sec versus the Avatar of Cain. Definitely want to get that on camera for range. But right now it is going to be Karn the Betrayer with the initiative versus Fuegan. Fuegan is a very good character. But in hand-to-hand combat, I'm going to tip the scales here to Karn. So we'll see what happens. Karn is coming in first, too. This is Gorechild. 8 attacks, 2+ hit. So only 1 fell off. Very good roll. Strength 7 versus toughness 3. The Aeldari, again, that toughness of 3. This is doubled up, so it's going to be 2s to wound. And rolled a couple 1s. I'll take it. It is a -2 to AP, so I'm going to grab 5 black dice for Fuegan's save. Going to try to do that as much as I can here just to differentiate. So Fuegan does have a 4+ invulnerable, which is great. He'll need it here. So we're looking for 4s. And that is not 4s. That is not good. So 1 was saved. Every single wound that goes through, I'm just seeing here. Okay, so there is Unquenchable Resolve, so that means that Fuegan could come back because he hasn't actually died in any of the games yet that I've played. But just to show you guys what Karn is able to do here with Gorechild, so it's 3 damage per that's gone through. That's 3, 6, 9, 12 wounds to Fuegan's original 5. So he is currently dead. I'm just going to remove him to make sure that that's being tracked. I'll read you guys his Unquenchable Resolve, which is one of his abilities. So the first time this model is destroyed, which is right now, at the end of the phase, roll 1d6. On a 2+, set this model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units with its full wounds remaining. So that is a very good ability. The only thing that won't let it happen here is a 1. So we need to see a 2 or more, and he is going to be set back up on the field with 5 full wounds. And we just got it. So it's a 2. Fuegan is back in. I'm going to put him back on the table with his 5 wounds, and he has to be... a lot of these models can move 9 inches, so 9 inches away from any kind of hand-to-hand combat, which is actually going to put him in behind the wall. I'll show you guys where he is, just underneath Asserman and his troops with his full 5 wounds. Not a bad placement, because now he can lend some help there against the Blood Crushers, Rhino, and Predator, because this Wave Serpent is getting way down, and hopefully Asserman can get his butt down here too and start to fire on them to help out also. While we're live, this might be a bit of a longer one. We are going to see the Bloodthirster firing upon the Avatar of Khorne. We saw the Bloodthirster take care of the Wraith Knight. Avatar is no slouch though. Avatar of Khorne is a super good model with some very, very good abilities and saves. So like Molten Form, each time an attack is allocated to this model, have the damage characteristic. That is insane. That's one of the best abilities I think I've ever seen. So it's not just -1 to damage, it is literally having it. So let's see what happens here. Bloodthirster is going to start up with the Blood Flail. This is what, no, it was actually the Hellfire Breath that took care of the Wraith Knight, but let's see what it can do here. This is hitting on a 2+. Got a 4. It is strength 16 versus the Avatar of Khorne's toughness 11. This is going to be 3 to wound. Didn't get the wound, so it was not strong enough to wound the Avatar of Khorne. The Hellfire Breath now, Torrent Weapon, we have to see how many attacks we're actually getting. So 5, that is pretty good, 1 short of its max. Strength 5, toughness 11, going to need 6s to wound. None wounded this time, so he's not going to be going down to any Hellfire Breath. And then the Lash of Khorne is the next one. So this is 9 attacks. I'm just going to put down my phone with the app on it so I can collect the right dice here. Little bit of a better attack. 9 attacks, strength 8. So this is hitting on a 2+. And all of those are through. I don't know if I've rolled many 1s for Khorne. Pretty damn good rolls for them. So maybe I'm just, you know, the god of Khorne is looking down upon me to get these rolls going. I don't know. Strength 8, toughness 11, 5s to wound. That was a little worse. The god Khorne did not help me there. But there are still 3 through. It's -1 to AP, so this is going to be a 3+ save for the Avatar of Khorne. He saved 2. This has gone through. It's 2 damage, but because of that Molten Form, it is actually only 1 damage, and the Avatar of Khorne goes from 6 wounds down to 5. So that would have been down to 4 originally, so he's survived that, which is fantastic. I'm going to keep rolling here. We have the Ultramarine Terminators versus the 8-bound in hand-to-hand combat. And then I have to do my reaction. So I'll be back in a sec when that's done and let you guys know what I've decided for the reaction. So let's sum up that move before we do the Aeldari reaction and kind of scoping out the field here. It might help me decide what that is. I actually have to break this up as well because that hand-to-hand combat has resolved. So unlike normal Warhammer where your force gets to fight back, we're only doing the reaction here. In future, I might change this and have, like, not during this narrative crusade, but if I'm doing Apocalypse again, I might have a unit do the minor skirmishes, D3 roll in this case, and then the Fire Dragons, if they're still alive, would be able to do another D3, which makes sense because they're kind of locked in hand-to-hand combat. But we didn't really do that for this one, so that's something for the future. Khorne definitely won that fight, but Fuegan does have that ability to come back, so he is back with 5 full wounds, just in the corner here, 9 inches away from combat. And there's actually a few models here that he's going to be able to fire upon with that amazing Melta weapon of his. And the only other character on this side is actually Asserman. And the Spirit Seer, but he's got like a shuriken pistol, so not great. The Wave Serpent is still kicking too, though. It can fire at the characters and also at the vehicles. 5 wounds left there. It actually did pretty well. I was surprised, I'm not going to lie. I actually didn't do this one, so I'm going to have to roll that. Maybe we'll do that live in just a sec here, and we can just remove the models that are needed. This was our Terminator fight here. Again, I didn't have that kind of counterattack built in for the minor skirmish D3. So D3 was rolled. There were 2 wounds allocated to the Terminator closest to the camera. You can see his token is now at 1. These blood or 8-bound were not able to do any range. They're just outside of hand-to-hand combat. And then we did see the Avatar of Khorne take 1 wound from the Bloodthirster, and I believe my counterattack here, my reaction for Aeldari, is going to be the Avatar of Khorne firing back upon the Bloodthirster to hopefully soften it, weaken it up. And I'm going to do this one too, so maybe we'll do that in the tray right now. We'll get over there and I'll get this camera set up in the tripod. Okay, so before I forget, let's get that Warp Spider one going. So this is going to be a D3 roll by the Goremongers. It is 1.5, so that's going to be 2 wounds allocated. That is the loss of our 2 Warp Spiders at the back, and only the Warp Spider Exarch is still alive, so I can decide to move him. That is not a unit kill, though. If they had got a higher roll, it may have been. Also, Fuegens does not count as a unit kill either, because he came back to life. They weren't able to kill the Wave Serpents, so this one may actually go Aeldari, as they have the 1 kill. Sorry, it is tied 1-1, so it's 0-0 right now for the victory points, but the Avatar of Khorne is firing upon the Bloodthirster. So if he's able to, by some chance, kill it, that will be another victory point for them, because they'll take the battle tally 2-1 for this round. So here it goes again, the Wailing Doom hitting on a 2+. Got it. This is strength 16 versus toughness 11, 3 to wound. Got it. That's what I'm liking. Minus 4 to AP. That's going to be a 4+ invulnerable from the Bloodthirster. Did not get it. So that is not a save. And it is D6 plus 2 damage. Would have loved a 6 there, but I'll take it. It is 5 damage, and that is still pretty damn good. If the Avatar can keep sustaining that molten form and having damage, that's going to be fantastic. So we have 5 damage there. It is going to be down to 13 wounds. So not bad. No extra kill tally points there for either side. So this one ends with a 0 victory points for either side, because there was no extra units killed. Other like one force didn't kill more units than the other. I'm just checking here the collapsing lines primary objectives to see if any other victory points can be awarded. So during the second battle round onwards, your team controls 1 or more objective markers not within your deployment zone. That is not the case. Your team controls more objective control points than the other. That is also not the case. We have the Fleshhounds by number 2, the Chaos Terminators by number 4, my Storm Guardians by 3, my Guardians by 5, and then the middle is still, I would say, under, because the Wave Serpent is right in beside there. We have the Fire Dragons, we have the Wraith Guard, we have the Spirit Seer, we have Khorne, so yeah, it's pretty much tied up, and the Avatar of Khorne is also still on the center objective. So that is still being fought upon. So this battle round actually ends 0-0, and the Aeldari still lead 1-0 in victory points for that second turn. 2 kills versus 1 kill. So yeah, maybe I was wrong at the start of this. I said it's going to really start to flip over to the Khorne side. I am looking at those 20 Khorne Berserkers, though, that are just outside of that central zone. So if they move in another inch or 2, they're going to actually be outnumbering any Aeldari there, and possibly the rest of my Aeldari force. I don't even know if I have 20 left. So that center objective may fall to Khorne next turn, but that is the end of turn 3. The world leaders have just gone, so this is going to be the Aeldari move next. I'm going to have to look at some really good strategy here, try to get some numbers into the center objective point, try to weaken some of the models and take some of the models out to be able to gain it as my control point. Fuegen's going to have to start firing on these tanks, and Blood Crushers, the Wave Serpent, and Acerman are also going to have to start doing that. And then Khorne is literally on his own, and he has that Wave Serpent in his view. So we're going to see turn 4 is going to be crazy. That's the end of turn 3. I'm calling it a night again. Up super early tomorrow for work, but hopefully tomorrow night I'll be able to keep picking away at this one, maybe get another turn done. But when we come back, we'll be moving into the Aeldari movement for turn 4. Stay tuned. On to turn 4, and this is going to be very interesting. There's actually a lot of Aeldari that have moved into range, hoping to take down some of these Khorne numbers. We'll see how it goes. Very busy, stressful day at work today, so no better way, I don't think, to decompress than to play some Warhammer. Gonna probably get some Chrono Cross in later as well, doing some old school gaming. That's the way I kind of chillax. Anyways, here we go. So movement is done for the Aeldari. The Wave Serpent did not move. It is going to be firing upon that Predator. We do have Fuegan, who came back from the dead after being defeated by Khorne. He's going to be putting some rounds down on the Rhino, or possibly on the Predator. These are character models too, versus vehicles, and vehicles versus vehicles, so we are good. Asterman has also jumped off of the Nakman structure with his, he was up there with his Dire Avengers. He's going to be firing into the Blood Crushers. The Dire Avengers have all moved up as per their Phoenix Lord's command, and they are going to be putting a rain of shuriken fire down onto these 8-bound, an Exalted 8-bound down here. Same with the Wraith Guard. They're also going to be firing up Fire Dragons onto the World Eaters, and what a heroic move here. The Spirit Seer saw an opportunity. He's the only character that can kind of do anything right now as per my rule, so he has gone into it with Khorne. He will get the initiative, so it will be fighting first for the Spirit Seer. If by some crazy luck he's able to beat Khorne, I don't know, maybe I'll buy him a Coke or something. We'll have to see. Over here, the Warp Spider is still trying to hold up these Goremongers. He is going to be able to fire this turn, but I don't know how much longer he's going to last when they're able to fire back, unless he gets, 3 of them killed and he gets very lucky with their turn after. Over here, 2 squads of Terminators are going to be firing upon the 8-bound here. So we have Terminator Squad 1, Terminator Squad 2, Marnius Calgar, the Viper, and Avatar of Cain are going to be firing into the Bloodthirster to hopefully do some more damage to him. And then over here, to round everything up for the move, we do have our Guiding Fate here. This Guardian Squad has to survive. There are now the Dark Reapers out front. They're going to be able to put some rounds down on the 8-bound here. Our Guardian Squad is also in range, able to do that. There's no range here for the Wraith Blades, but they are able to get into combat there hopefully next turn and do some hand-to-hand, because I think these 8-bound are going to get tied up by the Dark Reapers, even if they have to run into hand-to-hand, because they're not able to jump through or over anybody. So that's going to be the way that goes. So we are going to get over to the tray. I'll probably do a lot of rolls off camera here because there's a lot, but I'll sum that up when we get to the tray, and then we'll start doing these vehicle shoots. So Wave Serpent, Predator, Fuegan, Asterman, stuff like that. So over to the tray. I'll be back in just a sec, show you guys some of those rolls. We'll see how this battle goes for turn 4. And yeah, I'll sum up any of the minor skirmishes that happen as well with the D3 and D6 rolls. Before we get into the tray here with the shoots of the vehicles and characters on the vehicles and characters, pretty good round. So everyone's in range now. The only downside here for the World Eaters is the 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound do not have any kind of range. So they're just literally running into fire. So we have the Stormbolters from the Terminators coming down. We have the Shurikens. We have the Dark Reaper missile launchers, the Fire Dragon melt-a-weapons, the Wraith Guard firing, the Dire Avengers firing, and they were actually able to kill quite a few models. So no full unit kills, but the further side of the table, the Guardian unit that is the Guiding Fate, as well as the Dark Reapers, were able to kill one of the 8-bound. I'll show this to you guys in a sec too. Terminators were able to kill 2 full 8-bound and then leave one with 2 wounds. We had the Fire Dragons fire in, and they were able to kill 2 of the 30k colored Khorne Berserkers. The Warp Spider, doing a desperate last stand there, was able to kill 2 of the Goremongers this turn, so another good roll there. And then the Wraith Guard and Dire Avengers were able to kill 2 of the 8-bound, Exalted 8-bound actually, so a very, very good round. We're now going to get into the tray here and start doing some of these character rolls. We'll start up, I think, closest to me, so that's going to be Asterman versus the Blood Crushers. I want to try to get these things dead. We're going to see how we do here. So Acerman, he I don't think we've used him yet for his range. So he's got the Bloody Twins. They are two shuriken pistols kind of on his arms. And he's actually quite good in hand-to-hand combat too, but I'm not sure we've actually got him in yet. So hopefully we'll be able to do some good stuff here though. So this is 6 attacks hitting on a 2+. A couple of those fell off. It's not twin linked or anything. Strength 5, toughness 7, so this is going to have to be 5s to wound. And got 2 attacks through, so that's good. The Bloody Twins are -1 to AP, which brings the Blood Crushers up to a 4+. And 1 was saved, 1 was not. It is 2 damage per, so we have one of the Blood Crushers down to 2 wounds, but they are still alive. And they can rush into hand-to-hand combat now against Fuegan or Acerman. Mattering if I want to do that as a reaction or not, we'll have to see. I'm going to move over now to the Wave Serpent. So I'm kind of jumping across the table a little bit here, but this is going to be a big deciding factor if I need to use Fuegan against the Predator or not, or if the Wave Serpent can maybe do some kind of damage here. So I'm just going to get the Predator profile up. Don't have these memorized, so it takes me a little bit to get that going. We do have the Twin Bright Lance. It's been okay in the battle. It is hitting on a 3+. So that is a 3. It's worked. It is 12 strength versus 10 toughness, 3 to wound. Come on, 3. Yes, we got a 3. -3 to AP. This thing does not have an invulnerable, so that's going to be a 6+ save. Did not make it. And the Twin Bright Lance is going to be D6 +2 for wounds. So not the best, not the worst. That is 3 plus the 2. So we have 5 wounds administered. That brings the Predator down to 6 wounds. So almost cut in half there. I think I'm going to need to use Fuegan against it. So we're not done yet, though. We do have the Star Cannon, twin Star Cannons on the top of the Wave Serpent. So we'll fire those. Almost forgot about them. 2 attacks hitting on a 3+. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So we got a 12 there. Strength 8, toughness 10, a little bit higher this time. We're going to need 5s to wound. Got 1 through. That is -1 to, no, -3 to AP. It's actually quite good. So that's going to be another 6+ save here for the Predator Annihilator. Didn't get it. This time it's not a D6. It is just 2 straight damage, but we will take it. So the Predator goes from 6 down to 4 wounds. And now I'm really hoping that Fuegan can finish it off. So if we can get it done here with Fuegan, that is going to be another kill tally point for the Aeldari. And Fuegan literally just came back from the dead. So I'm very happy he's here because he's got one hell of a weapon. So we're going to be using... this is tricky. So the Searsong Beam is 3 attacks, which gives me a higher chance of hitting. But it's going to be tougher to wound. The Searsong Lance, tougher to hit, easier to wound, much more AP, and it's going to be D6 damage compared to 2. I think I need to take the gamble, so we're going to use Searsong Lance. I needed 2 here for this to shoot. Whoa, just got it. So 2, it is strength 14, so this is a massive Melt-A-Lance against toughness 10. It's going to be a 3 to wound. Didn't get it this time. Shit. So that's it. We tried with Fuegan. I'm just going to look here and see if there's anybody else around that is close enough. There is not. So we're going to move, and this is kind of going to just be a mash. Like usually you do the move, the shoot, the hand-to-hand. This time I'm moving from closest to the board to furthest away. So this is going to be Khorne versus the Spirit Seer. The Spirit Seer, definitely not the same level as Khorne in regards to hand-to-hand combat, but he does have the initiative here. And if he can weaken him up, maybe there's another model like Fuegan. If he takes another crack at him, or Acerman, they can jump in there and hopefully finish him off. So it is the Witch Staff of the Spirit Seer hitting on a 2+. Both of those are through. Strength 3, terrible strength, versus toughness 4. So this is going to be a 5 to wound. And that didn't get through. So the Spirit Seer might get just cleaved in half here by Khorne. Gorechild, as we saw earlier, is 8 attacks. Fuegan was able to do a little bit of saves there, but it was too much. So this is hitting on a 2+. Khorne's insane, as he should be. So all of those have hit. It is a strength 7 weapon versus toughness 3. This is going to be 2s to wound. Ooh, and a lot fell off there. So we got 4 1s. So those don't count for anything. There's no rerolls allowed. This is, however, -2 to AP. That brings the Spirit Seer up to a 4+. So it's possible he might be able to do something here. So let's make some 4s here for him. He saved a couple. So good job, Spirit Seer. You tried. So 4-5. This, however, is not good. The Spirit Seer has a total of 3 wounds. He's not a crazy strong model. He's not a hand-to-hand or melee champion. He's supposed to be buffing out Wraith constructs, which are here, but they're not kind of built into the rules here because the characters and peon models are different. So this is 6 wounds. It could have actually killed 2 of the Spirit Seers, so he has been removed. That also gives Khorne a kill, so I'm going to be marking that down as a kill tally for round 4 for them, and sadly that was acquired during the Aeldari turn, so not what you want to have happen, but Spirit Seer was a bit of a champ. So I'll just show you guys the field here in a sec, break up the camera a bit, and then we'll move over to the Avatar of Khorne and the Viper and Marneus Calgar versus the Bloodthirster. So this is a big turn for the Aeldari because they only have 1 shot after this and then 1 reaction. So they will have, you know, a reaction during the Khorne turns. There's literally 3 turns left for them, but this is their second last full turn. So we saw Fuegan and Asterman fire in. Asterman didn't do great, but he was able to wound one of the Blood Crushers, bring it down to 2 wounds. Fuegan and the Wave Serpent fired into the Predator. They did do a lot of damage. I'm hoping to take that thing out, maybe with a reaction coming up at the end of the Khorne turn, or in that final range attack, getting that going. Thing is, though, Karn is close. He can also chop up vehicles with Gorechild, so we'll have to see what happens. I didn't show you guys either. I just kind of covered it in the tray, but there's the Fire Dragons. They did kill a couple World Eaters. The Wraithguard did fantastic against the Exalted 8-bound, along with the Dire Avengers backing them up, so that was a very cool round. Our poor lone Warp Spider that is out here behind enemy lines by himself was able to kill a couple of Goremongers, so not the worst. This is where things are going to get interesting. So we did have the Terminators fire in. They also did a great job. So both squads of 5 fired into the Exalted 8-bound, killed 2 of them, left 1 with 2 wounds. This is a big one here, though. We need to kill this Bloodthirster because he's going to be able to fly into hand-to-hand combat with the Avatar of Khorne or do that range attack that we saw take down the Wraith Knight. He could also do that to Marneus or the Viper, so we need to get this guy down to some wounds that are manageable. And then over here, I think my Guiding Fate squad is in pretty good shape. All of these units are going to be able to either attack range or melee against these 2 8-bound that snuck in from the side here beside the Nachman structure. And the Terminators are a good enough wall here. They can also shift over if I need to, but the 8-bound that are in there are going to be occupied with them. So we're going to go to the tray now. We're going to get the rolls going for the Viper, Avatar of Khorne, and Marneus Calgar to see how they do for this turn. And hopefully this Bloodthirster gets killed. We'll see how it goes. Over to the tray. All right, so let's start this up with the Avatar. I just want to make sure that that's in focus. It looked like it was out of focus there for a sec. The only thing with the Wailing Doom is it is that 1 attack, so it's a very strong attack, but it's only 1. And you need a 2, and I've been rolling a lot of 1s this game, so let's hope for a 2 here and get the Aeldari some good woundage on the Bloodthirster. Got a 2, just barely. Strength 16, toughness 11, 3 to wound. Oop, I dropped that. It is a 6. I'm always fair for both sides. I'm going to pull it up. It fell on the floor, but I'm going to count it. It's a 6. -4 to AP. That's still going to only be a 4+ invulnerable for the Bloodthirster, so very savable. We'll see how he does here. And he did save it. So the Avatar of Khorne was stopped. That was that 1 attack. Let's move over now to the Viper Jet Bike / Viper Bird, whatever it is now. It's a lot bigger than the old Viper jet bikes. So there's a couple weapon systems on here again. So we have the missile launcher Starshot. I need to use that because it's the only strength I really have against the Bloodthirster. And this is also only 1 shot, and it's hitting on a 3+, so even harder to get. So let's see. Got it. Wicked. Strength 10, toughness 11, 5 to wound. Got the 5. Just barely. Perfect. -2 to AP. That's going to be a 4+ invulnerable. Again, the Bloodthirster usually has a 3+, but with that AP, it's brought up to its 4+ invulnerable, so it needs a 4 here. and it did save that as well. So there's some shots going through. It's just the wounds aren't landing, and the Bloodthirster is saving. Last one on there is the Star Cannon on the gun turret of the Viper. So use that again, hitting on a 2+. Got 2 6s, wicked. Strength 8, toughness 11, 5 to wound. 1 is through, better than none. That is that -3 to AP. Again, that is only going to be a 4+ for the Bloodthirster. And it was about time. He'd survived a bunch, so 1 has gone through. The Star Cannon does 2 damage. So the Bloodthirster has been reduced by 2 wounds. I'm just going to hop over, check that token. I think I can do the math this time, so that's good. He is from 13 down to 11 wounds. And we still have Marneus Calgar. So the Gauntlets of Ultramar, not the strongest, but let's give it a shot. He's all we have left here for the Allied side before this switches over. I always do a check too of the field just in case if I've missed anything, but I think I caught everything this time. Maybe that stressful day at work has sharpened me and I'm able to really see. So here we go, Gauntlets of Ultramar, 4 attacks, hitting on a 2+. This is twin linked as well, so this won't affect this roll, but it will affect the wound roll. Ah, man, that one. Yeah. Anyways, so I can't reroll that, but this is strength 4, toughness 11, needs 6s here. I can reroll this though, so we do have 1 for sure. And at least 1 is through. So with the Gauntlets of Ultramar, you know, they're like master crafted for sure, because they are on the chapter master of the Ultramarines, and Rubute Gilliman would have nothing less. Neither would Marneus, because he's been in this armor suit for a while. It's his old school armor of Antilochus. This is still going to be a tricky save, because the Bloodthirster, not an amazing, like for a massive demon creature, a 3+ save. A lot of those models usually have a 2+, so this is bringing it up to its 4+ invulnerable because of the -1 to AP, and he didn't save it again. So that is 2 more damage. So Marneus Calgar, even though their pistols is super accurate with them and maybe popped the Bloodthirster in the eye or something, or in the ball sack, I don't know. So 11 wounds down to 9. That is it though, and this thing can rampage. I do have the 1 reaction for the Khorne during this turn as well. So I'm going to break away, look at the table, and I'm going to see what they're going to do. I think I have an idea. But yeah, I'll think about it and then come right back and show you guys what's up. I'm not going to lie, I was thinking about having the Bloodthirster fly in and take on Marneus Calgar, but this Avatar of Khaine is a much bigger problem, and this is one of the only models on the field left that can take it. So the Bloodthirster has flown in with those massive leathery wings. It is now in hand-to-hand combat with the Avatar of Khaine. The Avatar of Khaine has already fought Angron, probably a bit tired, down to 5 wounds, and the Bloodthirster though also hurt, down to single digit wounds as well at 9. So we're going to get to the tray, we're going to get this one going right away. It should be a really good heavyweight bout. That Avatar of Khaine has that molten form too, so that's going to have the damage. But the Bloodthirster has a lot of attacks. So we'll look at the profiles, discuss that a bit for hand-to-hand, and see what happens with the rolls. Okay, so here it is, Bloodthirster versus Avatar of Khaine. This is the reaction for the Khorne during the Aeldari turn 4. So this is literally the end of the Aeldari turn 4. They only have 1 more after this. There will be 1 reaction, but this is it. So the Bloodthirster has a couple of profiles here. Axe of Khorne Strike, Axe of Khorne Sweep, Great Axe of Khorne Strike, Great Axe of Khorne Sweep. So looking at the profiles here, it definitely has a great axe. It has a massive axe. The rules here too though is before selecting targets with this weapon, select one of its profiles to make attacks with. So I can't do a bunch of different ones. This is going to be the Great Axe of Khorne. It is going to be 7 attacks at strength 16, -4 to AP, and the damage is going to be d6 + 2. So if I get full rolls here and everything works to the favor of the Bloodthirster, that molten form is probably not going to save the Avatar of Khaine, and this will be a victory point to likely to Khorne at the end of this. Like, we're gonna have to see what the reaction does, but this would be a kill tally of 2-0 for the end of the 4th, because there were a lot of kills by the Aeldari this turn, but they didn't finish any units off. So we're gonna get to it right now. No more talking. Let's see what this Bloodthirster can do. This is a reincarnation of the Blood God Khorne. It is a massive kind of bull-faced, well, you guys have seen them. And again, this is a third-party model. Don't tell Games Workshop, but yeah. So here we go. 7 attacks hitting on a 2+. Jesus. Okay, so a lot of 2s there. You know, that's... You'd think it's an easy roll, and it's not. So 1 even fell off. This is strength 16, as I said, hitting against a toughness 11, so hitting on 3s. And 2 more have fallen off. Not twin linked or anything, so we can't reroll that. These are through, though. -4 to AP. And that brings our Avatar of Cain up to that 4+ invulnerable. Holy shit, some pretty good saves. So 6/6, 5/3. This one has gone through. And if high enough, I don't think the Avatar of Cain is going to die here. We'll have to do the math in a sec, but this one is definitely through. Or sorry, it wasn't saved. So yeah, we have to roll a D6 + 2 for the damage. And it is 4 + 2, that is 6. That is halved though because of the molten form. So we have 3 wounds through, and the Avatar of Cain has survived with 2 wounds left. So pretty damn cool. He can also fight back here. So maybe I was speaking too soon when this could be the end. So these are character models. They have their full profiles. And we do have the Wailing Doom Strike. So 1 attack short, but let's see if we can get a wound in here. I don't think I've had to do a counterattack yet because everybody has died on the field when this was done. But the Avatar is still alive with those 2 wounds. So it is going to be Wailing Doom Strike, hitting on a 2+. All those are through this time. That's great. Great for the Aeldari. Their, you know, avatar of their god of war is firing on all cylinders. This is strength 16 versus toughness 11, also 3s to wound. So 2 fell off. It's not twin linked. Can't reroll those, but 4 are through. Gonna see what happens here. It is a -4 to AP, usually bringing the Bloodthirster to a non-able save, but it does have the invulnerable, so it's gonna be a 4+. And 2 were saved, so 4 and a 6. These 2 were not saved, and that is going to be D6 + 2 damage. This might be the end of, we'll have to see. So that's 8, that's 4. I think he did it. He did. The Bloodthirster has fallen to the Avatar of Cain. I'm just going to see if he's got any feel no pain. I always forget that. So that is crazy. That is a counterattack by the Avatar of Cain. And he has killed the Bloodthirster, which is fantastic, which gives a kill tally point to the Aeldari. Well, shit, everybody. I am blown away. I thought for sure the Avatar of Cain was going down there. That molten form is an incredible ability. So he is still alive, chipped away at the stone that's made up his being. He has 2 wounds remaining. He is still on the battlefield, able to deliver damage. And that has given a kill tally back to the Aeldari during a Khorne reaction. So currently the kill tally is 1-1. I'm expecting that there's probably going to be some kills going on here for Khorne, so this might go that way. But the Avatar of Cain gave them a kill to, you know, make things a little bit tighter, so that is fantastic. We're going to now move over to the Khorne for their movement. I might find 1 attack or something that I might have missed. I think we covered it this time. I did a pretty good hot wash on the table to make sure that we didn't miss anything. But yeah, Avatar of Cain, fucking incredible. And over to the Khorne now for their movement, their shoot in any hand-to-hand combat that comes about. Not as many models to move as this battle goes ahead. I think it's going to speed up here quite a bit. The Blood Crushers have rushed into hand-to-hand combat against Asserman. We are going to see him in hand-to-hand combat for, I think, the first time during this narrative crusade. Going to be very interesting. Khorne really wanted to badly, but Khorne is not stupid. He's the first captain of the World Eaters, and he was for a reason. He will be firing upon the Wave Serpent with the plasma pistol. Not the greatest amount of attacks, but strong. And then we're going to have the Predator Annihilator with its las cannons and heavy bolters firing upon the Wave Serpent as well. And the Rhino doing the same with its Combi Bolter. The Berserkers here didn't move in. I think they're in range though to be able to put some fire down onto the Fire Dragons, but the 30k color schemed world leaders will be firing at them for sure. Over here, our lone warp spider is probably going to go down. It is a D3 though, so it's possible if a 2 is rolled or a 1 that he's going to only lose 1 wound and still be going. Our bloodthirster's been put back into his chamber here, so he's kind of back in the warp. I put him in here because I didn't want to knock him over. If he's over on the other side of the table with the rest of the dead Khorne models, I might hit him and he'll smash all over the floor because he's resin. Over here, the Exalted 8-bound are not able to fight the Avatar of Cain because they are not character models. I actually didn't move them. I have to move them into hand-to-hand against the Wraithguard, so that's still to come. The 8-bound here have gone right into the Terminators. I'm going to be doing all of these rolls off camera, and this is not good here. The other 8-bound have gone in with the Dark Reapers, and right in behind them is the Guiding Fate Aeldari Guardian Force. The Wraith Blades are not close enough there to get into hand-to-hand, and it's not their turn. Maybe that's going to have to be my reaction. But these Aeldari, if those 8-bound do a lot of kills, might be next on their list. So over to the tray, I'm going to do some rolls off camera. As I said, I'll move the rest of the models too, just make sure that everyone's in hand-to-hand combat that can be. I'll roll everything, come back and do a quick synopsis of what went on there with the D3 and D6 rolls for the peon models. And then we're going to get onto the vehicle shoots, see how that goes. I might do this off camera too, just fill you guys in because that would be pretty long. So try to break it up a bit. I definitely want to get this one on camera though. I love those hand-to-hand combat skirmishes. So yeah, be right back and we'll get in the dice tray for a couple of rolls. And before that, I will sum everything up from the minor skirmishes rolls. We still have to get this one, but I finished up all of the minor skirmishes and the other attacks that went on. So a very crappy turn by Khorne. We had the Predator Annihilator, the Rhino, and Karn all fire at the Wave Serpent. Nothing fired, nothing wounded. So the Wave Serpent is still there with 5 wounds, and it's going to be able to maybe react here. We'll have to see what happens. We did lose all of the Fire Dragons except for the Fire Dragon Exarch. So if he goes next turn, that is going to be a unit kill, but it did not happen during turn 4. So we're still currently tied up. And that was the Khorne units here. So these guys couldn't fire because they'd be shooting in the back of their buddies. But these guys here on the corner could, line of sight and range. Didn't roll this one. Have to do that. We'll cover that in a sec when we get back to the tray. Fleshhound still holding down objective control 2. They haven't moved pretty much all game. In here, our first Ultramarine Terminator went down to 2 attacks from the 8-bound that are here. So we had 2 D3 rolls, and he was killed with the wound remaining. Here, the Dark Reapers fared much worse. So 3 of them were killed by the 2 8-bound here. And with my rules, I might change this in the future if I play more Apocalypse. I might allow the allied force or whoever is counterattacking to be able to roll their D3, because this is like a hand-to-hand combat, so it's, you know, people throwing blows at each other or throwing swords or chain swords or whatever it might be. But I haven't been doing that yet for, I don't think, the first game or this one, so we might build that in. I'm not going to do it for the rest of this narrative crusade because that wouldn't be fair. I want to make sure that all the rules are uniform throughout, but it's something I might add in the future if I continue doing this. And as I've said, I love the Apocalypse kind of way of play. So yeah, over the tray, I'm going to do this one probably off camera, just let you guys know what happens, see if our Warp Spider is still alive. And then we're going to get over here to this epic battle. So the Blood Crushers went in, they're going to have the initiative. We'll see if Asterman can survive and if he can deal any damage back to them. So let's figure that out in just a sec. Okay, so before we start up here with the Blood Crushers versus Asterman, I did roll for the Goremongers versus the Warp Spider Exarch. The Warp Spider Exarch was killed. The D3 was a 4. He had 2 wounds. You cut that in half. That's 2, so that's actually a kill tally point as well for the World Eaters. So they currently lead this round, turn 4, 2 kills to 1 kill, and that is units. I still do have the reaction from the Aeldari, and I'm gonna have to plan that very well to make sure that we can kill a unit, because if we don't, this turn is going to be going to Khorne as 1 victory point total. So let's see if we can do it here, maybe with Asterman if he fights back. We'll see what goes on. The Blood Crushers though are really fucking good in melee because that is their only attack. So we're gonna start up. There's 2 Hellblades coming in here from the Bloodletters on the back of the Blood Crushers. They're kind of like man-sized demons, maybe 7 feet tall, pretty slender. So this is hitting on a 3+. This is the first one. Both are through. This is the second. There's 2 of the bloodletters left. So we needed a 3. This one doesn't hit. It is strength 5 with the Hellblade versus toughness 3. It's going to be 3s to wound. Ooh, and the Khorne shite rolls continue. So 2 1s. This one is through though, -2 to AP. That brings Asterman up to his 4+ invulnerable. He did not save it, so that is 2 damage to Asterman unless he has some kind of ability that I'm not sure of. Yeah, so no, he does not. I was thinking maybe if he dies the first time as well, like he'd be able to, or if he dies during combat, he might be able to do 1 more fight or something. That's not the case. So he has lost 2 wounds. He goes from 5 down to 3, and he still has to survive the Juggernaut's bladed horn. So the Blood Crushers are like big, massive, I guess kind of demonic engines, but they look like a big rhino dog kind of thing. If you guys have seen them on camera there, you know. This is the Juggernaut's bladed horn, so it is 4 attacks per. Hitting on a 4+, a little harder to hit, but still very good, especially against the Aeldari toughness. So we'll roll the next 4 here, and I'll remove the dice that aren't 4s or more. So a couple more shitty rolls. So, you know, 75%, 80% of that fell off. So 3, 3, 1. We have a 3 and a 1 here. We needed 4s. So there's 3 of the original 8 attacks that actually hit. It is strength 6 though versus the toughness 3 of Asterman. So this is going to be 2s to wound. Got all those for sure. This is -1 to AP, so that's going to bring Asterman up to a 3+ save. He saved 2. Oof, I'm a little worried here. It is 1 damage. Okay, so that is 1 damage, not 2 in this case. So that means Asterman is still alive, and he is going to fight back here. And this is also kind of maybe going to lead me into my counterattack / reaction. So he's going to fight right now. I want to see how badly he's going to be able to wound these things. So he has the Sword of Asur, which is from the original Phoenix Lord, I'm guessing been passed down. So the cool lore behind the Phoenix Lords is there was like, Asterman's the oldest of the Phoenix Lords, so he's like, I don't know, probably originally like 20,000 years old. And since the Aeldari have their soul stones, the soul stone is attached to the armor and passes down to the next bearer. So there's maybe been like 100 Astermans. And this guy has all of the memories from all the Astermans previous, all the combat prowess, everything. So very cool rule or lore. So this is the Sword of Asur again, 6 attacks hitting on a 2+. That's a 6. So 1 did fall off. It is strength 6 versus a toughness 7 for the Blood Crushers. This is going to have to be 5s to wound. And oof, I was hoping for at least 2 out of that. So we have 3, 3, 2. Those all fall off. 1 wound is through with a 6. It is -3 to AP. The Blood Crushers do have a 5+, so this has to be a 5 here. And it saved it. So if that had not been saved, it would have been 3 damage, and there would have been 1 Blood Crusher killed, and another one down to 3 wounds. I'm going to look at the table now. What I was going to do here was if Asterman was able to kill 1 or wound 1 at least significantly, I was going to have Fuigen jump in there during the reaction because Asterman is still locked in, so Fuigen would be coming in and they would have the initiative there. I'm going to look around the table, see if there's anything else I want to do, and if not, that is what we'll be doing here in just a sec. Looked around the table, I think that that is still the most viable option. I could use the Wave Serpent against the Predator, but it's been doing pretty well, and I have not been rolling great for the Wave Serpent. Its strongest weapon only has that 1 attack, so I don't want to take a gamble on that. The Rhino also only has 2 wounds, but I'm not too worried about that. It could fire upon Khorne. Khorne has 3 wounds. He's got his invulnerable. Not sure about that either. And I kind of want to see some melee here and also get Asterman to kind of do a counterattack with Fuigen's assistance. So Fuigen has moved in with Asterman to take on the Blood Crushers. And we're going to see how that goes right now. So they have the initiative this time, and they're both pretty damn good in hand-to-hand combat. So this is going to be Asterman again with the Sword of Asur. We just saw it going on, hitting on a 2+. Come on, 2s. 2 ones this time. Twos, twos, twos. It's not a tough roll, but it is. 6 strength, 7 toughness, 5s to wound. Come on, 5s. All right, so we got 2 through. That's pretty good. -3 to AP. It's going to be that 5+ invulnerable save for the Blood Crusher. They're demonic hides. That is a 6. That is a save. This is a 4. That is not a save. That is 3 wounds. This is exactly what I wanted. So I just dropped a dice. One of the Blood Crushers is dead, and the other is down to... it had 2 wounds. 1, 2, 3. So it's down to 3 wounds. There we go. And we still have Fuegin's hits next. So Fuegin is pretty fucking good in hand-to-hand. We saw him take on Khorne earlier. Khorne is Khorne though, so he did not win that one, but he put up a pretty damn good fight. We're going to see now the Fire Axe of Fuegin. 6 attacks as well, hitting on a 2+ as well. No ones this time. Let's get 2s and above. Come on. And there's 2 ones again. Fuck. So these 2 did not hit. The Blood Crusher was able to avoid it with its bladed horn or something, or parry it with that. Strength 5, so lower strength versus toughness 7. Still need 5s to wound. Come on, 5s. And we got 1 5 through. So not great. 5, that is a hit. -4 to AP. Usually this would be unsavable by the Blood Crusher, but it has that damn invulnerable 5+, so it needs a 5 here. And it got a 5. So if it had not made a save there, Fuegin has 3 damage per hit, so that would have been the end of the Blood Crusher and an additional kill tally point for the Aeldari. So that is the end of turn 4. We're moving into the final turn here very soon. This is going to be the final Aeldari full move, full shoot, full hand-to-hand. There'll be 1 Khorne reaction, then it flips over to Khorne as per my rules. This round went to the world leaders. So they had 2 unit kills compared to the Aeldari 1 unit kill. So as per our victory point indicators, that means that Khorne has taken this. I would still say that the center objective is under dispute. So we still have Fire Dragon in there. I'll show you guys in a sec. I'll pull the camera off, but this one does go Khorne. So it's currently 1-1. We'll just do it live while we're here. So here we go. There's enough in here, I would say. So we've got the Wave Serpent. We've got the Wraith Guards. The 8-bound or Exalted 8-bound have kind of been knocked off. And then there's enough wounds in there that I would say that the middle ground is still being fought over. As soon as these troops move in, that is the end of that. Or if these destroy the Wave Serpent, that middle objective is going to go, and that's 3 victory points. The battle is still ongoing. I don't think it's as close to being over as I thought it was last turn. And it is currently 1 victory point each. So this one is tied up going into the 5th and final turn. I'm calling it a night again, but we'll be back. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm going to try to get this one finished and also get it edited and out to you guys tomorrow night. And then you guys can watch it. Hopefully it's not 3.5 hours again, but if it is, hey, what the hell, it's fun. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. I'll be back in a couple seconds, but probably more like 24 hours for me in reality. See you in a little bit. Night 3 of this Crusade narrative apocalypse Aeldari Alaitoc battle. My cold is actually starting to get worse, so I'm going to try to get this one out before I'm like incapacitated in a couple days. So again, apologies for the sniffles. I just did the Aeldari move, and I'm trying to be as aggressive as possible because there is a very good chance that they may lose this battle. I think we're going to be okay with the Guiding Fate. I'll show everybody that in a second. But we'll start over here. So Asserman wants this thing dead. It has 3 wounds left. The Blood Crusher, he has gone into hand-to-hand combat with it. There they are staring each other down, the Bloodletter on top, and Asserman. Fuegin has kind of spun around the wall here, and he is going to be firing upon either the Rhino or the Predator, and that's going to be after I fire with the Wave Serpent, because I want to see what it can do. And then after this, the Wave Serpent, I think, is probably going to get shredded apart if the Predator is still going, and then also Khorne has it in its sights. The Dire Avengers have jumped down off of the wall. They're kind of in this little alleyway here facing the Exalted 8-bound. They've got some backup as well from the Storm Guardians up here, so that's going to be a few dice rolls for the minor skirmishes going against the Exalted 8-bound. Our Fire Dragon is also probably going to fall here. The Fire Dragon Exarch has 2 wounds left. It's a possibility that they don't roll great, but he has a squad of almost 10 Berserkers coming at him, and I think the center objective may fall because there's going to be 20 Khorne Berserkers flying into that area this next turn, no matter what. It's definitely in their movement range. The only possible kind of saving grace is the Wraithguard have jumped up onto the center objective. They all have 3 wounds pretty much except for 1. There is 1 more Exalted 8-bound in there that they have in hand-to-hand combat, so that's going to be another dice roll. And I'm going to have to add up the wounds because for this we're not using the objective control points. I'm using more of a wounds slash kind of model size. If this battle continued to go on, who would probably win that? So we'll see, but with almost 30 Berserkers in there, I don't think the Wraith Lords would stand a chance. They're pretty good, but that's a lot of chain swords. Over here, this objective might actually be ours by the end of the fight. So the Fleshhounds cannot attack the Viper or the Avatar of Cain, and vice versa, but they can be standing near this objective point near the end of the fight. Avatar of Cain is just outside of that 6-inch bound rule for the objective control. So if he moves in here as a reaction at the end of this turn, which I might have to do, that number 2 objective control point will actually go over to the Aeldari because the Viper has 6 wounds. The Avatar has 2, but we know that he is a beast, so if this was an actual game, he would probably decimate these Fleshhounds. And they have 2 wounds apiece, so I would give that spot to the Aeldari. That's kind of how I'm doing the math in my head with this stuff. Down here, 1 Terminator squad, the one that lost their member last turn, is in it with an 8-bound. That is going to be a minor skirmish D3 roll. And then the other unit is over here. They're going to also be doing a D3 minor skirmish roll. Marneus can't fight anybody because there are no characters left. The 8-bound and Exalted do not fall into that class, so he is just watching his troops do their thing. He's done pretty good himself, actually, so he helped out quite a bit in taking out some of the enemies. Over here, hoping this might be the end of these 2 of the 8-bound. This is the Wraith Blades that are into it with them. They're going to have to get one hell of a roll to be able to kill them, but we'll see how it goes. And it looks like our Guiding Fate here, fingers crossed, might actually make it through. So the Aeldari may lose the battle, but that Guiding Fate will be there, so they'll get a battle trait at the end of this one, if that is the case. So again, at the very beginning of this fight, the Guiding Fate here was that humble beginnings. This Guardian force had to survive until the end of the fight, and I kind of tried to buff them out with an Autarch in case something came around to attack them. And then there was also the Dark Reapers kind of making a wall in front of them as a last-ditch effort. These guys have wanted to fight, but the Farseers and Spirit Seers said, no, you guys have something in your future, or at least one of you do, so you're not going to be into it. So over to the tray now, I'm going to do these D3 and D6 rolls, mattering on what is going on. Come back, show you guys that really quick, and we'll get into the character and vehicle shoots. I have no idea how long this battle is going to be when it's edited. Hopefully a little bit shorter than the 3.5 hours, but if it is there again, we'll get it edited up and out on the YouTube for you guys to enjoy. So over to the tray, and we'll finish off this Aeldari turn. That minor skirmishes roll is so awesome. I love that simplicity. So the Wraithguard were able to kill the lone Exalted 8-bound that was there. That is a unit kill, so they have been given a kill tally point towards the total. The Dire Avengers in the alleyway here blasted all those shurikens at the 2 Exalted 8-bounds at the end there. One of them was killed, and one has been reduced to 2 wounds. Still have to get to Foigen, Asserman, the Wave Serpent. Over here too, the Fire Dragon was able to get 2 wounds from the D3 roll and kill one of these 30k colored World Eaters. I think they're now going to probably finish him off because there's going to be another 20 of them in behind. They'll be able to do some D3 rolls as well. So this might be the end of our Fire Dragon Exarch, and that is going to be a victory point for them if that's what happens here. Over here, the Terminators were able to finish off that lone 8-bound that was here. So hand-to-hand combat, again, it's the D3 roll. They were able to finish him off. And the Wraith Blades here did their thing, and they were able to, I don't know if I think they killed one. Yeah, they killed 1 or 2. And there is still one remaining though, so that will be able to fight next turn. That is it for the D3 and D6 minor skirmish rolls. It's now going to go over to the tray for the big ones. This is the bread and butter, as I always say, of the game. So it's going to be cool to see how these characters and vehicles do. And then we will get the Khorne reaction to finish it off. This is the last full turn for the Aeldari. They will get one reaction at the very end of the game, but that is it for now. So let's see how it goes. Over to the tray to see if these Aeldari can get a couple more kill tally points. Going to start up with the Wave Serpent here. It is staring down that Predator. They have been at it all game so far. So let's see if this Wave Serpent can finally put it away. If not, I might have Fuegan help out. The Rhino here has 2 wounds as well. So if the Wave Serpent can take out the Predator, then Fuegan can kind of focus up on the Rhino and hopefully decimate it. But we have to get this Predator off the table first if that's going to happen. So this is the Twin Bright Lance. Has been hit or miss for most of the game. It is going to be hitting on a 3+. Got it this time. Wicked. It is strength 12, toughness 10, 3 to wound. Got it. That's a 4. Perfect. -3 to AP. The Predator does not have an invulnerable, which is pretty crazy. So this is going to be a 6+ save. Did not save it. This is going to be D6 + 2 damage. 3 + 2. We've got 5. This thing had 4 wounds left. The Wave Serpent has finally been able to rid the table of this annoying Predator. From the Khorne side, though, it did fantastic. The Predator was in there for one hell of a long time. That is another victory point for the Aeldari for their kill tally. Sorry, not a victory point, a kill tally point. So they have 3 so far this turn, which I was not expecting. That is pretty insane. And also the Wave Serpent still has some fire here, so it can shoot its 2 Twin Star cannons at the Rhino, actually, to hopefully help out Fuegan. So here we go. These are hitting on a 3+. Just have to get the Rhino profile up because I still have the Predator one up. So that's falling off. This one here, strength 8, toughness 9. It's going to be 5 to wound. Didn't get it. It is twin link though, so I can reroll that. Didn't get it. So it was worth a shot. This is going to now move over to Fuegan. The Wave Serpent has done very well. I was a little worried that it was going to go down super quick because it's not the highest toughness, especially facing Land Raiders and other things, but luckily the Wraith Knight early on took care of that. So I'm going to be using the Seer Song Lance, I think. So the Seer Song Beam is 3 attacks, better chance of hitting, but it's only strength 8, so I'm going to need 5s to be able to wound this thing, whereas if I switch it up to the Lance, it's going to be 3s. Easier to get, so I'm going to do this. 1 attack, though, hitting on a 2+. Got it. Woof. So now it all comes down to the strength 14 versus toughness 9, another 3 we need. Didn't get it, and it is not twin linked. So that's it. Fuegan tried to finish off the Rhino. We're not going to be getting a kill tally point for that. We will move it over though to Asserman in hand-to-hand combat with the initiative against the lone Blood Crusher that is left. It's really cool that they still have these demon models in there too. I was worried that they might take them out because there's going to be like a Chaos Demon specific army. I think you can still do that, but I was worried that they wouldn't be able to be like a main army type for Khorne or for Nurgle or whoever it might be. So very, very cool to see them in there. It will have the chance to fight back here though. I might build that in again, as I said last night. But this is a character on character, so they're going to be able to do all of the regular turns. We are starting with Asserman though, and he has the Sword of Asur. So this is hitting on a 2+, 6 attacks. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I'm just like snotting everywhere. I'm trying to hold it in. Strength 6, toughness 7 though. 5s to wound. Got 1 wound. Let's see what happens. So it's -3 to AP. This thing has a 5+ invulnerable. Did not save it. That is 3 damage, and Asserman has taken it out. He holds the number 3 objective control as well. Fuegan, I think, is just outside of range. The Rhino is not there, but Asserman holds number 3. The Blood Crusher has been sent back to the warp, and we get another kill tally point for the Aeldari. So this has been a phenomenal turn so far. 4 kills so far. Very worried the Chaos, Khorne Berserkers might do the same, but we'll see. I'm just looking around here if there's any other fights on the table. That is it. Characters are facing off against non-characters. So that is it for the Aeldari. I am going to do a reaction here with Khorne, and I think because they need to shorten up these numbers here around the table, I am going to put a D3 attack onto the lone Fire Dragon Exarch. We'll do that while we're on camera. So that would reduce 2 wounds off of that main stand, and those almost 30 Khorne Berserkers are going to be able to fire strictly at the Wraith Guard, and this is the most expensive objective point. It's worth 3 victory points at the end of the fight. So let's see if the Exarch here for the Fire Dragons can somehow survive. We're looking for a 1 or a 2. If it's higher than that, he's done. Oh, he's still going. So the 30k World Eater paint schemed Chaos Space Marines just fired at him. They were only able to do 1 damage from that D3 roll. So he is continuing to fight. He's up there, and they're going to have to spend another D3 on him to get him out next turn. So he did what he was supposed to do. He probably knows that he's dying. He's seeing his inevitable future. Maybe the Farseer saw that for him before he went into the fight. He went in anyways. He's got a Soul Stone on. Maybe he'll come back as a Wraith Construct. We'll have to see. But I'm going to be moving the Khorne Berserkers now, and any Khorne Demon models if they need to move. And I'll come back, sum that up, and this one is almost done. We'll start over here. Khorne move is done. It's getting a little tricky here because we had the Goremongers move their 9 inches. They're now teamed up with the Fleshhounds. So this is looking like it might be a little bit more of an even kind of objective control here being challenged. So there is 6 wounds here for the Viper, 2 wounds left for the Avatar. So the Avatar is pretty busted up. 5 full healthy Fleshhounds and the Goremongers. Like in real life, I don't think these things would be able to beat the Avatar of Cain, but there's so many of them, like it's possible. So I'm gonna have to think about that. Over here we have our lone 8-bound doing what he knows how to do. He's in hand-to-hand combat with the Wraithblades. These 3, all still with full wounds, are going to be doing a minor skirmish against the Terminators. Exalted 8-bound here are in that alleyway. They are taking on the front squadron of the Dire Avengers. And then over here is not looking good. So this is the middle objective worth those 3 victory points if held by the end of the game. So the Wraith Guards and that lone Fire Dragon Exarch are all that's left on the top. The Dire Avengers are within 6 inches, so mattering how they fare, I'll have to count their wounds in and kind of what they're looking like. Like, in reality, if there was Dire Avengers in hand-to-hand combat with 2 Exalted 8-bound, I think they'd be torn to shreds, as well as having almost 30 Khorne Berserkers behind them. Karn has also gone in against the Wave Serpent. He's ready to put Gorechild right through the Wraith armor of this thing, the Wraith Bone armor. Yeah, so we're going to see if this Exarch can, well, he's dead. No matter what, it's going to be D3, so those 30k painted Berserkers are going to be on him. These guys, like, they all fit in reality, but I have them around, so they're also going to be able to fire upon the Wraith Guard because they're within that 12 inches. And then the Rhino has the Combine Bolter, so it's not an incredible weapon, but Foigan is a bit beat up, so they have him in their scope. And Foigan's got 3 wounds left. So this objective control point 3 is going to be going to Aeldari no matter what, because Asterman is at... oh, he's only got 2 wounds. I thought I was seeing 5. So this is going to be rivaled upon. We're going to have to see if number 3 objective falls too. If Foigan gets killed here, it's going to be Asterman and the Rhino, so that might also be a draw. So there's going to be a lot to look at here before the end of the battle and get everything squared away. I'm going to do the minor skirmish D3 and D6 rolls if that's the case for all of these units. We'll do the same thing we did last time, sum it up real quick, and then we'll get into the tray for these final moves. That will be the end of the Khorne Berserkers battle, so turn 5 will be done for them, and we have the 1 reaction for the Aeldari, which is going to be hugely important to see if some of these objective control points can maybe tip in the favor of the Aeldari. So over the tray for me, I'll be back in a sec, sum everything up, and then we'll get into the tray again for this final chunk of character and vehicle fights. Start on the far side again here. So the Wraithblades did take 1 wound. The model closest to the camera was wounded by the 8-bound. I am very happy to pass along that the Guiding Fate has passed this game. This Aeldari Guardian unit is still alive, so they will be getting a battle trait at the end of this one, but we're going to have to see if this is going to be an attacker victory or a defender victory, the attackers being Khorne, the defenders being Aeldari. The Terminators here, we're in it with the 8-bound. We lost 2 models, so one was down to, no, we lost 1 model. So one was still with 3 wounds. They were able to kill. The Terminators are still there though. They're not really helping out with any objective control, but they don't move quickly, so that's where they kind of stood their ground and were a wall to make sure that these Aeldari Guardians did survive. In here, there were 2 models. I think that's what I was getting confused with. 2 Dire Avengers were killed by the Exalted 8-bound in the front unit there. 2 also of the Wraithguard were killed by the 20 Khorne Berserkers around the middle objective. This here, we're going to have to see if that's my reaction this turn or not. It's not going to really matter because they can't fight each other. And our Fire Dragon Exarch held on as long as he possibly could, but he did go down to the bolt pistol fire and plasma pistol fire of those 30k painted World Eaters. That is it, I believe, for all of the minor skirmishes. So that center objective is going to be going chaos, it looks like. I don't think I have any ability to really do a reaction there to shorten those numbers. So we have literally almost 30 Khorne Berserkers, each with 2 wounds. So that's 60 wounds in total compared to the 9 that are there with the Wraithguard. And then the 10-ish, yeah, maybe 10, 11-ish of the Dire Avengers down here. There's also the 8-bound within 6 inches of that middle objective, so their wounds are being added here. And then the Wave Serpent is going to be going against Khorne here in just a second. It only has 5 wounds. So that center objective is going to fall to chaos, which is why I'm a little worried. I think the fight might go that way. And down here, there's going to be one more attempt here to kill and get a kill tally point for chaos. That Rhino is going to fire into either Asserman or Fuegan. I might actually do Asserman because I didn't know he had those 2 wounds, so that's probably a better bet. I'm just going to go, the track's turned. He is now right in line there with that Combi Bolter. See how he does. And then there's going to be that one reaction. So that might be a reaction from Fuegan to try to blow this thing up and take that number 3 objective point, because if not, that will be rivaled if Asserman is killed here. So over the tray, let's get this final character and vehicle battles going, and then the reaction of the Aeldari, and we'll sum this one up, and I'll let you guys know who has won. But yeah, that Guiding Fate has been successful this time for the Aeldari. So we're going to start up here with the Rhino versus Asserman. So it's the Combi Bolter. This thing actually, I should be using the rapid fire abilities too, because that's just a regular like core rule, but I haven't been using it so far in the campaign. So maybe next time we'll see what happens. The Combi Bolter is hitting on a 4+. 1 is through. It is strength 4, toughness 3, 3 to wound. Got the wound. This is going to be a regular 2+ save, though. There's no AP, so that is a good thing for Asserman. Let's see if he can make it. And he didn't. Luckily, it's only 1 wound, so he is still alive. He's been taken down to 1 wound. The oldest of the Phoenix Lords, wounded by a Combi Bolter. Chaos hates them, so they're definitely trying to kill him, and Asserman would have been a really nice head over the fireplace for the Khorne Berserkers. So that is it there. Asserman has survived. I think I'm going to be using Fuegan with that crazy Fire Dragon Melt-A-Lance to hopefully take this Rhino out, get 1 more kill point, because it only has 2 wounds left, and take number 3 objective. But before we do that, I have to see what Khorne is going to do to this Wave Serpent. So this is Khorne the Betrayer. He is a superhuman man, but he is possibly going to be chopping a hovering Wave Serpent out of the air. And I think he could probably do it. So let's see how this goes. those crazy 8 attacks with the Gorechild. Probably one of the best, like I would say, medium models, like against Marneus Calgar, against I don't know, some of those higher character models for the Space Marines. He's right up there. So let's see how he does. Hitting on a 2+ as well. Crazy. Okay, 3 1s. I'll take it. I'll take it for the Aeldari. We're fighting for the Aeldari here. Sorry if you guys are World Eater and Khorne fans, but that's it. Another plus here is it is strength 7 Gorechild versus a toughness of 9, so 5s are going to be needed here to wound. And he didn't get many 5s. I'm just going to see if he has an ability. I haven't been doing that for either side, so we're not going to be looking at that right now. That is 1 attack through. It is a -2 to AP. That's going to bring the Wave Serpent up to its 5+ invulnerable. And it saved it. So that would have been 3 damage. It would have still been alive. It would have been down to 2 wounds, which would have lessened the total around that center objective. The thing is here, though, it does have a melee capability. So it has the Wraithbone hull, so it is hovering there. It didn't like getting chopped at by Gorechild, so the pilot kind of drove it right into Khorne. It's a big vehicle, so it hurt. It's got some jet power on it, too. Nothing nowhere near as cool as Gorechild, but it's 3 attacks hitting on a 4+. And 2 of those fell off, so pretty much the same kind of roll. Strength 6, though, versus toughness 4, going to be 3 to wound. Didn't get that. So the Wave Serpent kind of bumped off of Khorne, or Khorne like threw it, because he's a fucking tank. I don't know if you've seen his biceps, but he probably just threw the thing out of the air and just like pushed it away. So that is it for that. While we're here, we might as well do this. So I'm making the call. Fuck. Unless I put the avatar in there. Let me just see here. I'm over on the other side of the table. The rule here is that a model has to be 6 inches away to be considered in the realm of the objective control. So the Avatar of Khaine is just outside of 6 inches. So what I can do here, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm moving the Avatar of Khaine right up to the objective control point pretty much. I was going to use Fuegan. That is going to be a balanced, just an even battle there over number 3. So I'll show you guys. I'll take the camera off and let's do this, and then we'll add it up after when I'm off camera. So right now we have Fuegan and Asterman, 1 wound and 3 wounds with a Rhino. I know the Rhino has 2 wounds, but this thing has a higher toughness. If they were going to continue to fire at it, they were going to need some pretty good rolls. We saw Asterman kind of, he wasn't able to do much there. Fuegan may have been able to do it, but this is an objective point in our area, so it's not worth as much. If Khorne could take it, then it's worth a ton for them, but I'm going to leave that as a stalemate. So number 3 counts for nothing. Center objective is definitely Khorne controlled. As you guys can see, there's a massive army around here. Tons of Khorne Berserkers. Berserkers up here. Exalted 8 bound in there. So this is definitely center objective Khorne. And that is why I have done this. So same idea here behind the Rhino, and this is why I'm going to call this objective control point Aeldari. So if we were using real rules here, the Fleshhounds would be trying to attack Viper Jet Bike. It's got a pretty good toughness. And then the Avatar of Khaine, if we got into hand-to-hand combat, he would have probably annihilated the Fleshhounds and definitely the Goremongers. So I'm going to say number 2 is going to Aeldari, which is in Chaos territory. This one here is still being held by Aeldari, so number 5 is theirs. So I'll just do a sum up here and the way I'm calling it. Number 5, Aeldari. Number 2, Aeldari. Number 4 is Khorne. Nothing even came down here to try to rival this. The Terminators have been there the whole time waiting out for someone to fight, so 4 is definitely going Khorne. This is a big one. Number 1 is going Khorne. And then number 3 is a stalemate, so it's not going to count. So I'm going to just go over to my chart here, make sure that everything is added up properly. The kill tally this turn as well was actually phenomenal for Aeldari. They did super well. I think that's mainly because of their character models taking out that Predator and some of the 8-bound and the Blood Crushers. So it is a 4 kill tally for Aeldari, 1 kill tally for Khorne during this turn, and that's unit kills. So that could be a character or a full unit. So that's going to be 1 victory point as well for the Aeldari, added up to their previous victory point. So I'm going to add everything up. I'll show you guys where this one lands, if it's going to go attacker or defender. The Guiding Fate, as I said earlier, has already gone Aeldari, so they're going to be getting a battle trait at the end of this. And I don't know, now that the Swooping Hawks are out, I might bring them back as a battle trait, or I could give these guys like a Feel No Pain additional save, but that's really going to make things lopsided. So I'll have to figure out the battle traits to make sure it's still as balanced as it can be. And yeah, I'll go add everything up and we'll have the answer to this one in just a sec. Okay, so I've added everything up. The table is a little different than the table that is needed for Apocalypse. So it's supposed to be a 6x6. This is a much smaller table, so some of the objective points are kind of out of whack. There is actually a tie in regards to objective control points across the board. So there's 2 that are Khorne. That is number 1 and number 4. And then number 2 and number 5 are Aeldari, with number 3, that was a big one. It is a stalemate in that regard. The other ones here was the center objective being held by Khorne. It was 3 victory points. The Aeldari actually did not get 3 victory points anywhere, but they had the most kill tallies throughout the battle. So I've added everything up. I've gone through and made it as fair as possible. It is actually a tie of 5 victory points to 5 victory points. So I don't think the book actually tells you how to do that, but I would say a tie would probably go into the hands of the defenders because they are trying to fight with all of their might and pushing this attack back. So I made a mistake there, like, you know, Alaitoc Craft World 100,000 kilometers away. It's more like maybe a couple thousand kilometers away. And we know that these things can move quickly with warp, with whatever their engine systems have in their vehicles. So literally just beyond this planet is the Alaitoc Craft World. So they have sent down what is left of their force here to hold off this massive chaos genocidal force to take them out with the Ultramarines' help. So this one is a tie, but because the defenders have kept them to a tie, the attackers are going back to lick their wounds. So this is going to move, and I'll show you guys the book here in just a sec. Again, Games Workshop IP, my bad, but here it is. So I'll actually go back to the original page so you guys can see where we've come from and where we are now. So the first battle was Clash of Might. That is right in the middle here. Then it moved to Defenders. So Collapsing Lines was this battle. The next one is the Mighty Fallen. So this is actually the end. The force that I promised that would be taking them on, which is the most lore specific to finish off the race of Aeldari, is the Emperor's Children. So this here, the Mighty have Fallen, is the last Defenders battle. So this is going to be a little bit, I think, in favor of the Defenders. So this is what the field is going to look like, and I'll be doing all the measurements again, making sure that that's accurate. Just to read the terrain piece here at the bottom. When setting up terrain for this mission, bear in mind that the attackers prepared this position in case of failure. As such, greater terrain density in the attacker's deployment zone will help establish the position here, and if arranged so as to provide relatively safe exit routes for damaged units, that's even better. So this is going to be almost like a big battle line. I have tons of, they're kind of like Wall of Martyrs, but it's a third party that I got off of the Amazon. So I will be putting those down, and that's going to be kind of where the Emperor's Children are behind, and the Emperor's Children force is fucking crazy. So we're going to see what happens. But with the Emperor's Children being the last fight, we are also going to be getting Rabute Gilliman on the field, who is the Primarch for the Ultramarines. And he has been the one that has been sending his best troops here to help defend the Aeldari race. And they've actually been helping out immensely because the Space Marines have done well. He's going to be coming in with 6 Victrix Honor Guard. And we're going to see how they do against things like the Tormentors, the Bladesmen, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be really good. This is it here. So we'll get into this when the battle starts, but the primary objectives have probably changed a little bit. There's also escape. I'm going to see if I can build this in mattering on what the table measurements are and how that looks. But yeah, we're going to get it going. So over to the table one last time for this one. This has been a tie. Aeldari have been able to hold their ground, and in turn, the Chaos Forces have retreated back to their main base, which leads us into the mighty Fallen, which is the next Apocalypse Crusade narrative battle that I will be doing. And I think what I'm going to do to make this even is I will be bringing back the Swooping Hawks as a unit. So I was going to do that Feel No Pain for like every unit doing a minor skirmish, but that's not fair. That would have Chaos completely just outmaneuvered and out wounded. So I will get that one set up maybe next weekend. We'll see how I'm doing with this cold. Usually when I get them, they're really bad and they last a good week. Maybe I can get over it, get some cold effects going or something. But thank you guys so much for watching. Finnegan 40K, this is the Alaitoc Aeldari Apocalypse Narrative Crusade. If you guys want to see the original rules for this battle, I'm thinking you've already seen them if you're at this point, but there is the first video in the playlist. Second battle was against Chaos Undivided, led by Abaddon the Despoiler, and then this one was led by Khorne/Angron, and it was the Khorne Berserkers and Khornate Demon models. Very cool fight. Gonna get this one edited. We'll see how it looks, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe. Don't want your money. Love doing this. Great way to de-stress after a stressful week. And we'll get the next one set up here as soon as we can. Alrighty. Bye-bye.